I have worked very hard. We've sent out hundreds of thousands of emails over the last 20 days, tons and tons of texts, phone calls, and we're happy to say that we have a ton of people going to be on this thing today. We are being blessed by the voice of the people, Dan Schmaliglio and his wife, Hollis, who is broadcasting in 89 countries. The OBBM network for the first time is broadcasting today. If you go to their front page, they have all the videos.
This meeting is being recorded.
There's about 50 videos on there where you can see everybody who's made a video for Tina Peters. We're not going to put them on today because we're going to be blessed in about a minute here with Tina Peters talking. We spent about 20 days working on this. We've got Cloud Hub doing it, SternAmerican. If you get thrown off for some reason on this broadcast, you can go to SternAmerican Rumble, SternAmerican, the War Room to see it. We want to thank everybody for everything they've done. We want to let everybody know that this broadcast is for Tina Peters. We want everybody after this broadcast to call the governor of Colorado, Jared Polis, which we'll put up with his phone number and his email. We want 1 million people to call the governor. We are going to spend a week with many people who are on this program, getting on other programs, asking everybody to call. Tina, come on down.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for what you're doing to get the word out there. Steve, Stern, thank you for using your voice to just inform the American public, American people. I'm very grateful to you. You can hear the prison loudspeaker in the background. With all that's been done to me because of the criminal regime that you guys know all too well, it still confirms our resolve and our fight that we have to keep fighting. I have more resolve than before. I have complete confidence in our legal team. They've risen above what any legal team that I've ever seen has done. I mean, they've really not only been effective and efficient against these criminals, I guess I would call them, that have put me here. They both have practiced. Well, two of them have practiced. There's more that have practiced for 50 years, and they said, Tina, we have never seen in our whole career this kind of lawlessness amongst the DAs, the attorney generals, all the way up, of course. And now even the attorney general, in his responses to the DOJ's statement of interest, basically are saying now what we've known all along is that Merrick Garland and the past Department of Justice have been involved since the very beginning of this. And why is that? Why would they be involved with a small town clerk and recorder, and bring the full force of a corrupt government down on one person like me? Well, it's because they want to silence your voice. They want to send a signal to every person that would ever speak out, ever be a whistleblower, speak out against the corruption of the elections, about the selected individuals that are in office, about their deeds. They want to use me as the sacrificial lamb. And I've said before in my shows that there's more of us than there are of them. They can't get us all. And so I just want you to focus on that. Our fight is, we are winning the fight. We're bringing. You can tell from the information that's coming out now on Fox News and other many influencers that are on this call, actually, that are putting out the truth about and the Department of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard just spoke about the machines and how we have proof now about the criminality of the vote switching and the software. And all of this was because one person, just like you, a nobody, just decided to stand up and not back down with the bullies. And I used my kids, when I was homeschooling them, and when they were in school, in grade school, I would just say the only way to beat a bully is to beat them up. I mean, and I'm not advocating violence in any way, shape, or form, but you cannot see evil and not do anything. And there's certain things that you can't unsee. But the state of Colorado had no right to prosecute me, no right to indict me, because I was immune from prosecution. I guess I had a duty, and this is something they would not let the jury see or hear, that I had a duty imposed by federal law to preserve election records, especially in a presidential or a federal election. And the judge would not allow the jury to hear this evidence, and that I had a federal duty to preserve and protect election records. I was the only one in Colorado and maybe in the United States that actually preserved the election records, as far as the adjudication files and how the computer sees how a vote's cast, the audit log files. That's important to show how you get to the total of the election, and of course the access log files, where we know now, because there are 36 wireless devices in the Mesa County server, that the election management system, that could be accessed from any cell phone, any computer around the world. And we know that this extends to Serbia, the Venezuela there, it's to Venezuela, to, all around the world. This is not just a Colorado thing. It's not just a United States thing. This is a global, and that's why they've had to come down so hard on me, putting me in prison for 9 years. But I want to let you know that God keeps me, and all the prayers by all of you out there, and the support. You can always reach out to me at tinapeters.us. There's the American Project, that I appreciate any legal funds that you want to contribute there, and that is a link on my website as well. I'm very grateful to people like Patrick Byrne and, of course, I said our legal team and the American Project for all they've done. So if you want to support me at tinapeters.us, my personal, because I'm incarcerated, I no longer get my Social Security, which was helping to pay my mortgage. And so you can help me at the Give and Go on my website, or if you want to donate to the legal fund to the American Project and all of that at tinapeters.us. Please pass the movie around, put everything out on social media, draw attention to the criminality that we found in Mesa County Reports 1, 2, and 3 that have exposed what they're doing to. This is not about Democrats or Republicans. This is about people's right to, by the Constitution, to vote, and also to have their vote counted as they cast it. And so when someone tries to say, well, she was an election denier, wanted to disprove the 2020 election, well, that's not how this started. This started from a municipal election that I said, this is no way this can be. And then from there, it, of course, exposed that election as well as the 2020 election. And this has been going on for a long time. Thank you so much, Steve, for allowing me to be on here, and all the people that are representing the great American patriots all across the United States. I love you. Please pray for me. Prison is never a place I want anyone in this listening audience to go. It's a very bad place to be, but I consider it my duty and my privilege to to do this right now on behalf of the American people, and pray that the justice will prevail, and I will be out soon. But I love you guys. Thank you again for doing this on behalf of me, on behalf of the American people, on behalf of getting the truth out. And as you know, the truth does matter. Thank you. God bless you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Tina. Again, we're going to be putting this up for calling the governor. As soon as this program's over, we'd like everybody that's listening to call the governor. He's running for president, so certainly we think that he would want to get Tina out of jail. The Justice Department is working on it. There'll be a lot of people talking about this today. So we're going to want to bring on Catherine Engelbrecht, who's been helping us, one of the finest people on election integrity in the country, maybe the world. Come on down, Catherine.
Oh gosh, Steve, well, thank you so much. And thanks for putting this event together. And Raj, thank you for both of you putting this on month in, month out. And it's great to see the audience continue to grow as more and more people wake up. My word, what an amazing recording that was shared by Tina. And I had the opportunity to do a similar recording when I did a prison stint in a matter related to election integrity back in 2022. No, yeah, 2022. But it was not anywhere near what Tina is going through now. And I can just envision, though, her speaking into, at least where I was, you had a little tablet you could speak into that could then project out like we just heard on the video. And what she is going through, friends, is we should not take it lightly when Steve asks us to call the governor and have your voice heard, because this needs to be brought to national attention. Tina is being unjustly incarcerated, and it's an outrage. So I encourage everybody to call the governor, or email them, and it matters. They do keep track of those kinds of things, and when they know that the people are on the move, they react. I was thrilled to see the Department of Justice get involved, and I'm excited to see what happens next. So we just stand with Tina on all of it. I mean, I didn't really hear her full story, what happened, not just on the election side, but what happened in the months in which she was being held to her family. I mean, and to hear her today say that now that she's incarcerated, she doesn't get Social Security and it jeopardizes her mortgage. My word, what great Americans have gone through and will always go through to preserve this country. We shouldn't let that go unsupported. So please do make that call to the governor. Please do support Tina, and we're going to be putting all of this out all over True the Vote as well to help spread the word. Very quickly, as far as what True the Vote is doing, there's just a couple things I wanted to share. The first is that we are going live again with a web application that we have called IV3, and you can check that out at iv3.us. It's a way for you to look at your local voter rolls, and we do a pre-sort of those rolls so that you can see some of the problems straight out of the gate, and then we help give you the guidance to report those issues to your county. So in a different time, you would have been reporting your findings to Tina, and then Tina would have the authority to do something about it. And so IV3 is a great way. It's particularly good for anybody that might be listening and just wants to, they don't know quite where to jump in. They're concerned about elections in their local jurisdiction, but they don't quite know where to start or even what to believe. Seeing your voter rolls and the problems in those rolls is a great wake-up call and a great step in the right direction, because it's, bad data in, bad data out. So once you get the rolls in place, it's a 1,000-front war. There's so many other things that have to be dealt with, but getting the data right is the first step. If you're curious, we have reached out to DOJ about the possibility of working with them, and have provided a ton of code and things that we've built up over the years to hopefully help. So let's just, cross our fingers that something like that comes together, because DOJ does have the access to federal databases that the states need and that have long been withheld from the states. And of course, the president's recent executive order that demands that DHS make those records available goes a huge leap forward in getting to good voter rolls, because particularly with DHS, you will be able to tell citizenship. which is something states have not been able to do. Now, it doesn't mean that all states are going to, do it. Colorado might be one. Whether or not they're going to take up DHS on that offer remains to be seen. But the fact is that the data will now be available, and that's hugely important. Other thing I'd like to bring to everybody's attention is that we are going to be in oral arguments against Fair Fight and Stacey Abrams and Mark Elias and the remnants of the Biden Department of Justice that fought just so vigorously against us in our desire to help citizens with these kinds of challenges. We beat them in federal district court in Georgia, but now we are headed to the 11th Circuit because Fair Fight appealed. And it will be, one side of the courtroom will be myself and my attorney, and the other side will be dozens of attorneys. And whether or not Stacey Abrams makes her appearance, is questionable. But the room will certainly be filled up with her representatives. And so please keep us in your thoughts and prayers on May 13th, which is the day that we're going to be making those oral arguments. We feel good about, we got a full defense verdict out of the Northern District of Georgia, and we feel like we'll persevere again in the 11th Circuit, but we still have to go and make our case. So that's one of several lawfare situations that we are still fighting through, but fight on we will. And we're continuing to build out programs and trainings and looking forward to what's coming in 2026. So Steve, thanks again for this opportunity. And thanks to all of you for being on the call. We are all in it together, friends, each in our own way, doing our own thing. And so thank you to everybody who does anything in this space. It is needed and appreciated.
Catherine, how do people reach you and how do they join your organization? And just give a minute about what your organization does, because it's important.
Sure thing. So True the Vote is the name of my organization. You can find us at truethevote.org. And I started True the Vote back in 2010, totally by accident. My background is in oil and gas. I used to be a president of a manufacturing company. We made component parts for offshore wells. Was not at all involved in politics, but there weren't enough volunteers to go work in elections. And I thought I can do that. And one thing led to the next. I saw problems at the polling place, began to ask questions, began to look at how voter registrations are added to voter rolls. And that set us off on an odyssey that now, some 15 years later, I could have never expected. The goal and the mission of True the Vote is to empower citizens to take a stand for free and fair elections. And so we focus on building out apps and providing trainings that are, and you can find all of that on our website. We've got a ton of information there. And it's about empowering. If you go to Engage on our website and drop down, you'll see all the things that you can get involved with, things that we have posted, materials that are available. We're about to launch a brand new app called LegiTrack that will help us all to track election integrity related legislation. And that's going to be launching here in the next month or so. So I'll be back again to talk about that. But it's a great community, and we invite you to sign up for the newsletter and stay in touch, and use any of the apps or services that we've provided. It's all about furthering your ability to help secure free and fair elections in your hometown.
Thank you very much. Now we
Thank
bring
you so
on
much.
from Pennsylvania. We try to get her on a lot of times. She finally got on. We're happy to have her. Heather?
And right before Heather comes, sorry, Heather, just give me 30 seconds. Right before Heather comes on, again, just a reminder, here is a number to call. Please take a picture of that. We're going to put it the screen. They're going to put this snapshot on throughout the entire event. Please call the governor. Here's a phone number. Here's the email address. Do it while you're on this call. And Aaron Jackson just alerted you'll probably be asked to drop a voicemail. So make sure you have a good voicemail ready in your head to do that. Also, we want to thank OBBM.com, because they are streaming this event. And when you go to OBBM's network, which you can see on screen right here, when you get the homepage, just click on their banner that they have on Free Tina Peters. Click that, and you will see all the videos that Steve Stern and the team have procured. All of these people, you probably know a number of these people here. All of these folks are urging you to call the governor. So please take advantage of that. Share this with people in your life. Heather, thanks for allowing that announcement. Back to you.
All right. I'm going to share my screen. I think I should be able to do that.
Absolutely. Just click the share button on your bot. There you go. Perfect.
Okay.
And we can see your screen.
All right. And you can see, so I can't really see at the moment, but
It says why we all should care about district election boards.
excellent.
And we just lost the screen. So if you want to just repeat the share, but share your screen, not the application, then it'll stay on. So just repeat the process. Just click share. And then on the window that comes up, click share screen, not share application. Click share.
All right.
And when you click share, you'll see another screen come on. Just click share screen. Good. Okay, we can see your screen. Perfect.
All right. Wonderful. So hopefully you can still see, yes?
Yes, I can.
Excellent. All right. So I just want to talk for a few minutes today about something that is specific to Pennsylvania, but hopefully can make the case for why everybody, all of us across the country should care about this. So for starters, Pennsylvania, as I'm sure many of you know, is the largest of the swing states. So generally people care about Pennsylvania during a federal election cycle. But Pennsylvania is unique in a couple of ways, but relevant to today's conversation is Pennsylvania is unique because all of our precinct level election workers are elected, right? So every 4 years, we have the opportunity to elect people who file petitions to run for judge of election, minority inspector, and majority inspector. Some of the other positions in the polling place are appointed or hired, but the three most important ones are elected, and that is unique to Pennsylvania. So what is a judge of election and why does anybody care? Well, the judge of election is the highest level precinct election official, and they are responsible for essentially all aspects of administration of elections in the polling place, opening and closing, resolving any challenges, reporting election results, etc. An election inspector, on the other hand, are sort of second in command. There's a majority inspector and a minority inspector. They are not related in any way to the party of the inspector. So it's just the person who gets the highest number of votes is the majority inspector. The person who gets the second highest number of votes is a minority inspector. They can be from the same party. And their job is to check in voters, confirm eligibility. And importantly, the minority inspector is the person who retains a copy of original election documents from the precinct. They have to keep them at their home for 2 years. Now, there is no requirement for party parity in Pennsylvania. So in a lot of places, Arizona, Michigan, and so on, you have the opportunity to have people working in the polls who are of different political parties, or you can have poll challengers and that kind of thing. There is no legal requirement for any county to have representatives from both of the major parties in Pennsylvania. So this ability to elect people takes the place of that. Now, why should we care about who's operating these local election offices? Well, for starters, generally speaking, I think that we should all care about this because we want, fair and impartial folks operating and administering our elections. But why do we care now? So I think that these positions are so important right now for a few reasons. First of all, President Trump issued the first of what he said will be several executive orders related to elections. The one that he did issue in March has changes to the VDSG, puts funding under FEMA. Last week or 2 weeks ago, the SAVE Act passed out of the House that very well could make it out of the Senate. And then, of course, you heard, I'm sure all of you heard Tulsi Gabbard's statement about the voting machines. So for starters, let's look at the SAVE Act. The SAVE Act requires documentary proof of citizenship prior to registering in federal elections. And it also requires states to remove non-citizens from existing voter rolls. So if you're thinking about like your first federal election after the SAVE Act, God willing, takes effect, somebody's going to have to be responsible for making sure that everybody who's on those voter rolls has satisfied the requirement for proof of citizenship. So if the SAVE Act passes, we're going to need help there. This executive order, just want to highlight a couple of things in there that will impact potentially the administration of elections as well. So Section 4 amends the VDSG2 to eliminate or instructs the EAC, I should say, to amend the voluntary voting system guidelines to eliminate barcodes and QR codes. Within 180 days, consider rescinding all prior certifications. Now, again, these are voluntary voting system guidelines. There's already litigation there, but what I think is interesting is that the executive order also instructs FEMA to consider basically using DHS grants to incentivize compliance with those new VDSG guidelines. So if the funding is not in the EAC, but instead in FEMA, then the president has more ability to direct those funds. Section 6 requires the DHS and the DOJ to prevent non-citizens from accessing equipment or any relevant materials used in federal election. So if that happens to apply to the manufacture of election equipment, then there's a lot of stuff. There are a lot of election systems that have component parts made outside of the United States. So it's possible that those would no longer be usable, which could lead to hand counting paper ballots. A lot of people are very supportive of that. And if that were to happen, who is going to be counting those ballots? And then, of course, the DHS has to assess the security of any systems that are accessible online. Just for fun, I'm going to play Tulsi's comment here.
Evidence of how these electronic voting systems have been vulnerable to hackers for a very long time and vulnerable to exploitation to manipulate the results of the votes being cast, which further drives forward your mandate to bring about paper ballots across the country so that voters can have faith in the integrity of our elections. Thanks to your leadership.
All right. So ultimately, changes are coming. And so we have to have conscientious election officials at all levels. These changes are likely to impact at the precinct level election administration. And of course, we are very concerned about who's counting, right? I mean, you've all heard those quotes. So in Pennsylvania, these vacant positions will be filled by appointment. So if we don't get people to run, they will be filled by appointment. So this is an urgent need for people to run for these positions in Pennsylvania, because again, if we don't have people run for them, the county election officials will just appoint people without regard to where they live or what party affiliation or what their interest is in election administration. The next opportunity to run after 2025 will not occur until 2029. So all of the judge of elections and inspectors who are elected in 2025 will serve in the 2026 federal election and in the presidential election in 2028. So you can imagine if we are incorporating all of these changes to our election system, we need to have people in those positions who care about election integrity. And remember, there's no requirement for party parity in PA, so this is our only way to do it. So there are 3 ways that you can get on the ballot in November in Pennsylvania. 2 of those ways are kind of past, but right now we are still in the window where people can run a write-in campaign and win the primary and get their name on the ballot. Unfortunately, most judge of elections or inspector of election candidates will run unopposed. Right now, with less than 30 days before the primary election, there are some counties that have 60 or even 70% of precincts with nobody running. No Democrat, no Republican, no independent, nobody running. This is really an urgent need. Many candidates will win with just a write-in campaign. In most precincts, if you're successful in that write-in campaign, then you will win in November because you will not have any opposition. There is training and support available for anybody who is interested in doing. It's a very simple process. we can give you step-by-step how to run. We have resources available for anybody to, first of all, to learn about election administration. So all we need right now are not people who are experts in election. We need people who are willing to serve in this role. And so for anybody everywhere, if you know anybody or any groups that have, chapters in Pennsylvania who would be willing to help us identify people, you can sign up. We'll send you information. You can scan the QR code or go to restoreconfidence.org. Importantly, right, we are asking everybody on this call to contact every group and every individual that you know in Pennsylvania. Make sure that they are aware of why this is so important, more important here in 2025 than it has been in any prior year. We can help people check which precincts in the county or counties have candidates on the ballot and which ones are vacant where they have nobody running. And then we just need to identify people willing to serve. We will make sure they have all the resources they need, all the training that they need, and then we'll make a plan for election day. As long as somebody just makes the decision to do this, they don't have to notify anybody that they're running as a write-in candidate. If they show up on election day and get people to write their name in, that's all they need to do.
1 minute, Heather. 1 minute. We got
we got it.
Thanks.
In addition to that, the folks at Citizens Alliance, who were the ones who did the PA Chase, are running this Joe 1000 program. They will support any candidate who takes their pledge and help them get elected, help them get win the primary, and help them win in the general. So again, please have people sign up. Again, this is a national call to action. All issues link back to fair elections, and these changes are coming. We don't know how many of them, but I think it's safe to say there are some changes coming. This is an opportunity for people to get involved and be part of the solution. There are a lot of people out there who like to complain about our elections. This is an opportunity to actually get involved and be part of the solution. And we need to be proactive instead of reactive. We need to take steps ahead of time so that the elections are fair instead of trying to react after the fact. So one more time, if you are interested or know anybody or just want more information to share with folks in your organization, please scan the QR code, sign up, and we'll send you more information. So thanks, Steve, for the opportunity to get that word out.
You got it. Next up is Matt Meck. He's one of the leaders on the Tina Peters program. He's had many podcasts about Tina. Knows more about it than most people and has helped me quite a lot. Want to thank you. Come on, Matt.
Hey, Steve. Thank you. I'd like to start off with had the honor to talk to Pat McSweeney, one of Tina's attorneys, this morning for about 34 minutes or so. And he wanted to leave comments on the hearing that they just had for her. One, they viewed it as a success because they kept the Colorado AG's office from striking the U.S. government's interest letter. He is going to be coordinating with the Department of Justice for a supplemental letter of interest letter into that federal court. So positive news there. What I wanted to just stress, Megan, this is about and for Tina. She's become a personal friend, got to know her first professionally, as we had done election integrity forums throughout the country, I think 41 since 1 December of 2021. And she also would always expound, this is not Democrat versus Republican. This is the sanctity of the voting system in our great republic. And she was doing her duties, Steve, both under state law and federal law. She complied with it. When it was easy for her not to comply, she complied, because of those of us who've gotten to know her, she is a woman of character. She's a woman of principle. And as her son would always say, Mom, you fix the hard things, you do the hard things, you do it right. So I just wanted to share that. And then also listening to some of the commentators before, talking to Pat McSweeney, I think we need to let the American people know this is not just a legal issue in Colorado. This is political warfare. Tina is a political prisoner, in my view. She was doing what she knew to be the right thing. And as her message kind of alluded to, she was targeted to be silenced. I know somebody's going to come after me, a dear friend on this call, Mark Cook. He's come across Democrats, even in the state of Colorado, who realize what a travesty this is, and that she is the fall person. And I would just say, Steve, what if it were Tina doing this, and it was looking at Joe Biden instead of a Trump with the municipal elections? If the political tides were turned in the views of Governor Polis and the AG and Secretary of State, she'd be a freaking hero to them. She'd be folks coming to visit her at that facility instead of going to a damn jail in El Salvador for a human trafficking, wife-beating illegal immigrant. Sorry, I get a little emotional, but Tina did the right thing. And I hope to God that she's pardoned, and not only pardoned, but restitution is delivered unto her for the crap she has had to suffer. And I would say, everybody on this call, when we feel down, when we get tired and you're hitting your head against a brick wall in election integrity, think of what Tina's suffering for. Think of what she's doing every day in prison. I would say, Steve, let's step up and do it for Tina. When we want to say hand count, get folks in your community, your county, your state to volunteer to do hand counting. If Tina can be suffered to this and have a 9-year jail sentence, we can suffer a little bit of uncomfortableness and frustration. So, Steve, with that, I'll yield back my time and hopefully get everybody on track here.
So we want to thank the head of the Republican Party of Colorado, who has called me yesterday and called everybody in Colorado. We have a ton of people here that are on from Colorado. And Matt, give us some more information about where they can get to you, your podcast, some of the things that you're doing. You got a few minutes to get on, and how they can see, excuse me, how they can see the video of Tina, where you did your big program.
It's certainly, we on TPN, we have Warren and I co-host a show every Monday through Friday. It's at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Always talk about Tina. And if they wanted to get a hold of me, Matt at unauthorized, as in past, Matt at unauthorized.one.one. And that unauthorized just grew out of seeing what Tina was doing, what we were doing with a coalition of candidates. We started that, 1 May of 2021 at the Trump Hotel here in Vegas with a whole host of folks there. A lot of candidates, Mark Fincham, Doug Mastriano, Christina Caramo, Rachel Hamm. But this day is not about unauthorized. It's not about me. If anybody wants to reach out to me how we can help Tina, all of our effort is focused on getting the national attention on Tina, governor's attention on Tina, and I'm always willing to help you, Steve. Matter of fact, get your hat on.
Thanks. And kind of like, tell everybody how they can get a hold of the governor, if you know, or what they should do when they call the governor.
What I do, it's a 303-866-2471 is the Governor Polis. I've called, and I asked him to please search deep down, realized what she did, and please pardon Tina Peters. And I said, at a minimum, there's no reason, please consider this, why that woman, that hero, should not be out on bond pending appeal. Doesn't even have a traffic ticket, Gold Star mom. And I hope, I didn't say this on that call because you got a voicemail. I hope the political calculations, if he's looking to run for governor, for president, you might want to reach out then just to your base that is rabidly wanting Tina in prison, and do the right thing, Governor. Do the next right thing. Pardon her, but at a minimum, out on bond pending appeal.
But there's a lot of people on Getter today watching this on the War Room, and the major thing that they're coming up with is saying this is a national disgrace. And I think that we need 1 million people to call the governor. We're going to spend every day, and I hope that you get people on your meetings and on your podcast to let people know to do this. Unless we get people on to do this, it's not going to work. So we need the people to do that. Matt, thanks very much for coming on. We're going to go to Mark Cook, who's in Colorado now with people on the ground. And can we get Mark on?
Hopefully. And hopefully y'all can hear me okay.
Hey, I like the black shirt.
All right, sounds great. So as you can see, I am in a room here with a bunch of citizens, and I happen to be in Mesa County in Grand Junction. And a lot of these people in this room, they're all supporters of Tina, and a lot of them have known Tina even before all of this started. And I wanted to come up here especially because this event is all about Tina Peters, and I wanted to be at ground zero, where Tina actually did all the things that we would expect any citizen to do, that we trusted to manage our elections, that when she saw something that looked amiss, that instead of just going with the status quo and allowing people outside her county to dictate what she does, she instead focused on what was important for the citizens of her county that elected her into that position to manage those elections. And when she saw some possible funny business, she took steps to protect the vote and the election system for the citizens of her own county. And in doing so, what happened is the entire deep state, the media, a whole bunch of people all across, not just the state, but the entire country, went on the attack against Tina, when all she did was back up election records from a system that seems to be a black box. It really is a black box to all of us, including the election officials. She backed that information up and wanted to take a better look at it to see what was really going on. She thought there was some funny business going on. And I got to say, I was the lead forensic investigator on Tina's images, in fact. So I actually was the first one, I believe, to be able to take a look inside those images into the machines that we are all told, just blindly trust them, you little peasants. They're fine. Don't dare question them. I'll tell you what, when I looked inside those machines for the first time myself, I realized we are all being lied to. Not just the citizens of Colorado, not the citizens of Mesa County, but the citizens of the entire country are being lied to, and our election officials all over the country are being lied to as well. When they say these systems are safe and secure, I found out immediately with a quick look that they're not. And I spent 6 months looking at it after that as well. They are not safe and secure like they say they are. The testing labs that claim they're testing for stuff, they're not testing for the right stuff. They let a lot of stuff right past it, with these back doors that are in the systems. And meanwhile, we're told they're the gold standard and they're critical infrastructure. When you actually look at them, it's a total joke. So the joke has been on the American people for a long time. And I don't like jokes like that. So what I want to do is I want to bring awareness to what's really going on inside these systems. If there's nothing to hide, why are people hiding things? People with nothing to hide nothing. Yet when Tina wants to look into these systems, and all of a sudden the full force of the federal government, the state government, and all the media immediately go on the attack, you kind of start to wonder why that is. What should have happened is an investigation should have been opened to get to the bottom of it. But instead, they went after the messenger. And I think that's absolutely disgusting that was done. And I've watched them systematically do that from day one all the way through to current day, even during Tina's sentencing, which if anyone hasn't seen that sentencing, I want them to watch it, because when you see the sentencing, it will finally click in your head on where we're actually at in this country. If you go to handcountroadshow.org, then go to Get Educated, down to Colorado, and then across to Tina Peters, I want every American citizen that is watching right now, and anyone that's not watching, I want every one of you to let them know, send them that link. I want everyone to sit and watch this 19 minutes of sentencing that Tina had to endure, because once you do that, you'll suddenly see the clear picture of where we're at. First it was Tina, then it's all of us. And in the sentencing, what Judge Barrett said, one of his comments was that he's doing this as a deterrent for other election officials. And I'll tell you what, it has worked, because I have traveled the country and investigating all this, just trying to get to the bottom of it, getting to the truth. That's all I care about. What is the truth? What's really going on? And I've been told by multiple election officials that I have sat down with that they know there's a problem. They have the same concerns, sometimes even worse, but they're too afraid to say anything because, and I quote, "I don't want to get Tina Petered." This is what we have, these wonderful citizens that are doing their civic duty to give back to their citizens, their counties, their states, their nation. They are too afraid to talk about things that they see that are huge concerns to them. That is a problem. That is not sustainable. We rely on our election systems to determine our will as American citizens. And we measure that will and then use that measurement to determine who we choose to serve us. And that is exactly what government is. I don't care whether it's federal, state, local, county. Those people that are in those government positions are tasked with serving the citizens. The citizens run the show. The citizens of the United States of America own this country. Our elections belong to us. But for some reason, people seem to think that the people that are in those positions are somehow above the very citizens that they serve. And that's just not how it is. We need to get people realizing how this country was actually set up. And I can't wait someday to do my civic duty, to be a servant of my fellow citizens. And I will proudly do that. And like Tina has done it, I will absolutely stand up for what's right, no matter who gets in my face or what they try to do to me, because what matters is true freedom for not only us, but for our children and our grandchildren. So with that being said, I'd like to open this up because I think there are some citizens here that personally know Tina, and they are living in the very county that all of this went down, you know, ground zero for the country, really. So what I'd love to do is, if you could, in my background here, whoever'd like to speak first, if you could come sit in this chair next to me, come on up here, have a seat, and talk for a minute or two. And I'd like you to let everyone listening know what you feel, what you've experienced in this county, et cetera. So don't be shy. Someone come on, sit in this chair, and let's hear from you. And if we got 2 or 3 people, let's do that, because this is an opportunity for people to hear directly from these citizens. So introduce yourself and go for it. Thank you.
My name is Doug Bryant. I've been a Mason County resident for almost 50 years.
Speak up so they can hear you.
We witnessed Tina's quest for the truth. I mean, she didn't start this on her own. She was asked to do it because other people noticed something wrong. She could have backed off. She was told, as a matter of fact, if she would back off, it'll all go away. What the amazing thing to me was the absolute failure and the cowardice of the elected officials in this county to follow up on what she had found. Instead, they turned on her. And these were not Democrats. These were GOP officials who chose to side with Jenna Griswold and all of her lies. The other thing that struck me was this whole thing with the county clerks. Her trial was rescheduled. It just happened to be rescheduled when the county clerks were meeting less than a block away. What Mark said is absolutely correct. All they're trying to do is scare everybody else into using these machines. It's to me, it's disgraceful what occurred in my home county. I am deeply ashamed that we have treated Tina Peters the way we have.
All right, next is coming up right now.
My name is Ed Arness, and I'm personally acquainted with Tina Peters and have spent a great deal of time in the last 3 years applying my expertise in how you manage computer systems, because everything that's been done against Tina, she's one of 2 county clerks who did the right way to manage an election system, and that is to preserve a record of what the system was doing. It produces the tallies. You have to have the software record so that you can recreate the way in which it produced those tallies. Tina realized that data was going to be overwritten and destroyed. And before the time, she as clerk was required to preserve it. And so she arranged to have a copy of it made. The news took all the information that was presented publicly and portrayed her as a person tampering with elections. That she never tampered with the election. That statement is supported by the Secretary of State, who says no harm was ever done to the election system. She simply made a copy of it. The proof that the legal system went after her is that none of the charges of which she was convicted have to do with the election, taking the image of the election system, have nothing to do with the election system. The proof that that's true is that the Judge Barrett, would not admit any testimony relevant to the election system in her trial, which the whole reason she did the things that they wound up convicting her of were to be able to take the image. She didn't have the ability to take the image herself. And the proof that the image is not illegal is Dallas Schroeder in another county in Colorado took the image, and there's no legal action against him. So there is no, the embarrassing parts to Mesa County citizens are that our legal system pursued a person because they wanted to remove that person, because that person was an elected official who made statements that said our election system is not correct. That's not a reason to put a person in jail.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Who's next? Come on down. There we go.
While he's coming on, just like to let everybody know, SG Annan Reports has about 20,000 people on this. The War Room's got about 25,000 people on. So everybody who's speaking is in front of millions of people all over this country. So thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you.
All right, we appreciate it. That was the best one yet.
My name is Tim Fenwick. I've known Tina for several years now. They tried to recall her right after she was elected. And when she was elected clerk and recorder, I didn't vote for her. I voted for Bobby Gross, who is now our clerk and recorder. And right after she was elected, they tried to recall her. That's when I got involved with it. I did a lot of investigating and found out that George Soros was behind the money portion of her recall election. When I exposed that, the recall election failed miserably. Tina Peters is extremely honest. When I was working with her, she opened up to me about everything that went on in the office. She is an honest lady. The reason she's in jail right now is simply because they are after us. They're not after her. They're doing the same things that they did to the January 6 people. They do not want clerk and recorders doing any more investigating work on the elections. They want it hidden. God bless America.
Yep, we got another coming here as well. Go ahead, just introduce yourself and go for it.
My name is Diane Cox.
Speak up so they can hear you.
My name is Diane Cox, and one of the most.
A little bit louder, Diane, a little bit louder.
Louder, the microphone's here.
Okay.
So you're good, just speak like normal, just speak loud.
My name is Diane Cox. The most alarming thing I heard mentioned during her sentencing by Judge Barrett was that he was denying her bond because she was a threat to the community. His explanation of why she was a threat to the community, her words are a threat to the community. This is a total renunciation of our First Amendment rights to free speech. This should never happen to anyone, and especially to Tina, who is standing up for our voting integrity.
Okay, absolutely. All right, who's next? All right, so let me, I'll just hop over here real quick, so it'll be easier than moving the camera. So if anyone else wants to say anything, please just come up, tap me on the shoulder, and I'll eat some time up. But I do want to share this with people. If you go to that handcountroadshow.org website, and you go to that same link, Get Educated, Colorado, and then Tina Peters, there's 2 videos there. One is her sentencing video, that 19 minutes you definitely need to watch. And right below that, and I don't know if Steve, you can pull that up, right below that is a clip of Gerald Wood's testimony in that trial. And Gerald Wood is actually the first guy that Tina hired to take those images. He told me, I actually met him out in South Dakota at the Lindell Symposium. And I was in the red team room, I was there the night before essentially to look at those PCAPs that Mike Lindell had been talking about. I wanted to examine those packet captures. But fast forward the next day, I'm in there in that room with Gerald Wood. So he was there at that event. He told me that he was in on the planning to take the images of the system to protect the data and preserve those records. And he had worked with Tina to coordinate all that. He told me that to my face, literally 1 foot to my face, right in front of me. And he even asked me for a Faraday bag to put his phones in because he was concerned if he had to travel back to Colorado, he was concerned that, something might happen to his phones or whatnot. So yeah, it's right down there at the bottom, right? Keep going down. You'll see Gerald Wood perjuring himself in trial. So Gerald Wood told me he was in on the planning. Then in the trial, how interesting, he claimed he had no idea and that he didn't know Tina was going to take his identity, and he claimed that Tina stole his identity and put him and his wife through all this stuff. And I'll tell you what, Gerald, you are a downright absolute perjuring liar, and I have no idea. There's the little rat on the right side of the screen, and he's not here, is he? No, shocked. I'm shocked. So I'll tell you what, I think, Gerald, you need to come clean. You need to be honest with everyone about what your role was and the fact that you perjured yourself in that trial, and your perjury actually affected where Tina is right now. How dare you do what you did, you little freaking coward. And in fact, if you'd like to talk to me while I'm up here in Mesa County, I would love to talk to you to find out what the heck was going through your mind. And this whole thing about you don't know who Trebuchet is, that you don't think you're Trebuchet, which was, it was a name used in a Signal chat, who Trebuchet is Gerald Wood. I've got the evidence. I know you're Trebuchet. You know you're Trebuchet. You just decided to lie to the world. And if you think your lies are going to be ignored, you are in for a bit of a surprise coming. So what I would recommend you do is come clean and be honest, because that's the best possible path you have right now. And you got to live in a town full of people that are all about to know what kind of a lying scumbag you are.
Yeah, money for doing.
Yeah, and I don't know if there's paid money, but maybe there is. Maybe people will start looking under these rocks. So would anyone else that actually knows Tina like to say a couple closing words?
Could you ask how many people will call the governor after this show we have? Can I see a show of hands?
Probably everyone. I think everyone. Let me get this all zoomed out here. There we go. And I'll try to.
We need 1 million people to call. Everybody on this program, I'm sure, is going to call. But if everybody that's there in your room will ask somebody to call, can you imagine if 1 million people call the governor's office over the next week? He's going to get the message. And, we're doing this program just to have that happen. So we have a few minutes. We're waiting for Mike Lindell to come on.
Yeah. Well, I'll wrap it up real quick here.
Let me just find out if he's on. Hang on 1 second.
Sure.
You see him on there yet, Raj?
Stand by. Go ahead. Mike Lindell is on. Yes, he is on.
All right, so wrap it up, and Mike is going to come on, and I want everybody to watch him.
Okay, I'll wrap it up here. So here's the deal. To America, we have had our elections usurped. They've been taken from us and put in the hands of corporations and NGOs. And this is not sustainable any longer. Elections belong to the people, and we must, if we are going to have true freedom in this country, and we are going to save ourselves from things like Tina Peters is having to go through right now and the hero that she is, we must return our elections to the people, and we must rescue our Tina, and we need to herald her as a hero for doing what she did, for standing up against all of the people that have been trying to put on this massive election illusion for all these years. we have a lot to correct. So God bless Tina. God bless everyone that's been fighting. And what a perfect time to introduce Mike Lindell, who, and sometimes I say, if we get through this, we're going to get through this. We are going to save our country, period. We are going to do it. And it will be because of brave, amazing patriots that stood up and shouted, no matter what anyone wanted to hear, shouted the truth. So Mike, I appreciate you very much. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. If my voice isn't that good today, everybody, but I had vocal cord surgery, but thank you all and God bless you all. And Mark, yourself too, all of you out there, we all had a part in this. We never quit talking and never quit speaking out. And yes, we have to get Tina out. Above all, she doing her job. You know, I want to bring you guys back. You know, I met Tina at the first cyber symposium in the summer of 21. And I heard this whole story about what went on in Colorado, that it wasn't even a presidential election that stood out like a big deviation. It was a local election. And you know, when Tina then, when I met her and she was at the cyber symposium, and I promised her then, you know, I said, at that time, I said, I will never stop having your back. Just know that. I can't promise the future or whatever. And she had already publicly went out and you know, talked to her. I guess at that time, I guess she publicly went out because they were already attacking her. When they did the trusted build, everybody, that was very much an interest to me because, you know, I got sued for, I think right now it's over $3 billion. That was in all the news last week where I was crying in court. By the way, everybody, I was not crying in court. That's fake news, okay? But these machines that they deleted with the trusted build, that was the evidence. That was also evidence that I needed for my lawsuits. And, you know, everybody knows that the federal law is 22 months. They have to hold this. And I think Colorado might even be longer, 26. But as I got to know Tina, it was funny because you'd have this first, my team got involved. You had the first report, the second report, the third report, and everybody looking into this. And you're going, in any other time in history, you're going, here's a clerk that, you know, a clerk in charge of the elections, never had a jaywalking ticket, a Gold Star mom, and any other time in history, they'd be going, hey, you backed up your computers like everybody else should have in your job, but what do we have here? I mean, and as we all know, what we had there was a time in history that's unprecedented. You know, in the last 4 years, like I told our president, I said, you know, we were talking last summer, and actually Tina came up the last 2 times we talked, but we were talking last summer, and he was saying, Mike, he said, all these things that keep happening. He said, we were talking about that, these horrible things the government was doing, that Biden was doing. And I said, sir, they said they actually are good things. We're going to look back and say this all happened for a reason, and because it was opening people's eyes and stuff, and people are pouring into this bucket of common sense, which I told him was his bucket. And he said to me, he goes, well, Mike, I don't know if we can get it all fixed in time in 4 years. And I said, sir, with God, all things are possible, and him working through you, you'll get it done faster and better than anyone. But as we look back and we see things, okay, this happened, lawfare happened, all these things, horrible things happen. But one of the biggest things that hasn't been taken care of is Tina Peters. I mean, she's sitting there, and it makes you want to cry, going, okay, they're trying to leverage her as you know, if you question the election, you're going to be a Tina Peters. If you question the election, you're going to end up like Mike Lindell and in everything destroyed. This is what evil's doing. If you don't think with these machines and for one instant, they're not just regrouping for the midterm election next year. That's what they're doing. They don't want anybody questioning the machines. Now, did we get some great victories lately? Tulsi Gabbard coming out with that statement two weeks ago. When I went and met with the president, he came out with the executive order about a week later, and I assured him, I said, sir, we talked about Tina. He talked about Tina for probably 15 minutes. You guys seen that he came out with the interest, the point of interest, that the government has interest in this, and that was a victory yesterday with the judge saying, "Hey, we're gonna look at this." I thought that was little victories, but this can't stand anymore. She should be hailed as a national hero, a whistleblower. She should get whistleblower status. She should be, and this is where the battle is. All of a sudden, this has become the battle. And I think with the stuff going on now, once things start crumbling, their walls are just going to crumble down. But they're holding on to something. They didn't. Like this last election, I told the president. He said they didn't steal the president.
The recording has stopped.
But they could have. They absolutely could have, and but it would have been such a deviation, that everybody would have said, open up those machines, and instead they stole four senators, 9 congressmen, and they're going to wait until the next election here. So by getting Tina Peters out, it's a loss for them. They're going to, we have to do everything we can. I know we're doing it right now. We have another team of lawyers. We have LindellPlan.com. We're going all in. If anybody wants to help out there, we have a team of lawyers where I just talked to my team a few minutes ago. I was texting them before I got on. But everyone's got to do their part to get her out. We've got to have a voice. One thing we have now that we didn't have then, everybody, is we have a much bigger voice. We have a much bigger voice. Am I frozen?
No, you're fine.
We can see you and hear you.
Oh, okay. But we have a voice. You guys,
you may be frozen on your end.
Yeah, okay. But you guys, I'm telling you, is what we have now. That if this was 4 years ago, we would have no chance of getting her out. I think we'd be all praying like we did, like the J6ers. What could we do then? We couldn't even get the word out about them because the media kept it down. The media put out their false narratives. The J6ers are this, or Tina Peters did this illegal. She did nothing illegal. What we have now is our voice, and we have all these media platforms. I have my own Lindell TV. We have all these social media platforms that have sprung up. We've got to get the awareness out there. Steve, you've done such a great job here of getting the awareness out. That's the number one thing that we have now for pressure. We didn't have the pressure back then to do anything because we didn't have. You think you're going to go on Fox News? They're going to talk about this? Never. I mean, never. You're not going to get on Fox News or the Newsmaxes of the world. Tina should be on. They should be talking about her every night and demand that she gets out. But we're not. But those two were gone a long time ago because of lawfare. With the fake news media, they're not going to talk about it at all. They're not even going to attack it right now. So it's up to us with all of the platforms. And I encourage, if you guys have Getter, Gab, Truth Social, Vocal, even Zuckerbuck's Facebook, Twitter, or X now, get it. No matter how many followers you have on each account, share this out. Share this out. Share the word out. Get it out everywhere. The whole country needs to know about this biggest travesty that we've had, the manifestation. You can't even wrap your head around, and then you see them. Hey, we should, this person sent to prison here. This illegal should be taken out. They're worrying more about illegals than here. This Gold Star mom. It's just a status thing, and I just encourage everybody to do everything you can do personally to spread the word. It's all about getting the word out and getting the public demanding this, because we are working from the top down too. I'm going to be meeting with the president next week, and I'm going to be bringing it up again. And by the way, the president, he wants her out. He knows and people come up to me all the time, Steve, and they're going, why can't he just partner? And well, obviously there's a lot more to it when it's a state thing and you have a federal, but there are a couple of different ideas that lawyers are coming up with that hopefully will get her out.
Mike, so a couple things. Did you see the first 9 minutes where Tina got on? I'll send you that copy if you could get that out on Cause of America. We have right now we have about 3 million people watching this. You are on live on Lindell TV. We got them to put you live. That's the only way we can.
All right, awesome.
So if we are putting this up for everybody, we want 1 million people to call the governor.
Right on.
Who's been on this has said they're going to do this. If we will send this to you, if you could get your people to do the same thing. We have
absolutely.
We have many, many stations. OBBM is helping us. Lindell TV, your TV, Patriot TV. I saw you on the War Room today. He's helping us. But I would like to tell everybody here while you're here, I know you got to leave soon. I've been in business 71 years, and I sold pennies for 44 years, and the same thing happened to me that happened to you. And I want to let everybody know we don't get any advertising for this, but if everybody would go to mypillow.com today and help Mike, because Mike got knocked out of 60 to 80 box stores like I got knocked out of box stores. And I know what it is. And the funny thing that happened to me, and I know you're in business with your son, my son came to me and he said, Dad, don't worry. We have a flag shirt. We're going to go to everybody in this country and we're going to sell them a flag shirt. And that's how we got it. We did something else. We walked away. So everybody buy a pillow today. If we get 1 million people to buy 1 million pillows today, that's 1 million pillows. Mike Lindell is one of the most wonderful guys. I'm going to tell you how I met him. I called him up cold, and I told him that I loved his towels. I don't know if he remembers this. And he said, well, why did you call me? And I said, well, I'm going to talk to you about Precinct Strategy. And he said, do you know what Precinct Strategy was? And he said, no, let me get one of my girls on. We talked for a half an hour, and then he put me and Dan Schultz on the program the next day. And that's what started Precinct Strategy. He endorsed it. So we love Mike Lindell. Mike Lindell has given everything in his life to make this country free. And when you see the president, tell him that there's people out there that need to get to his people to let him know what's happened in the election integrity, because we do this every 2 weeks. And it started when I saw him 2 days before the last election. And he asked me what I thought about the 2024 election. And I got involved in this, and he actually endorsed 2 of my candidates 2 days before the election. So I know he's a wonderful man, a wonderful president.
Yeah.
When you speak to him, and I told you this before, we need to get the grassroots involved with him a little more, because we got to get this election integrity, election security done. And you know it as well as I do. So I know you got
absolutely
last minute.
Yeah. And I am going to talk to him, and we talk all the time. You guys, he's never let up. He says we need to get to paper ballots, hand counted. He will never change, no matter people around him saying, don't look back, just look forward. You already won. He is with us in our cause to get to paper ballots, hand counted. I do want to say, I want to thank you, Steve, for bringing up MyPillow. You guys, we are being attacked now worse than any time in the history of the last 5 years. And you've probably seen that all in the news. I didn't cry in court and say we're ruined. I said lawfare is ruining us. I wanted you guys go ahead and use promo code Mike. Just use my name, Mike. And we have all these sheets that were supposed to go to the box stores. They canceled on us again this spring. So they're $25. We're closing out there. Any size, any color. We're doing split kings, $25 a set. And then we have a new energy drink that we just launched. You can go there and get your free 3-pack. No purchase necessary. I want you all to try it. No caffeine, no sugar, the healthiest energy drink in history. I'm all about health and helping people, and so are my employees of my employee-owned company, MyPillow. So thank you for all your support, and you guys get behind Tina. I'm going to get this out everywhere so we can call that governor and know that the president is never going to give up on getting us to secure elections, which we've all fought for. And thank you all, and thanks for all you guys for all your courage and sticking up and never backing down. If it wouldn't be for all of you out there, we would have lost our country. I believe now we will not lose our country.
Well, we'd like to get, yeah, we'd like to get you back on when you speak to the president. Let me know when you get to him in the White House and tell him I'd like to see the Oval Office.
Okay, all right. All right, thanks you guys.
Thanks,
Thanks
Mike.
a
We
lot.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
You got it.
Thank you.
Take care. All right, we got one of the most famous guys coming down now, Greg Stenstrom, who's been on almost every program. The reason why he's on every program, because he is the king of Pennsylvania. His lawsuits out there are phenomenal, and he has supported us throughout this whole thing, and he always helps me whenever I need him. Greg, come on down. You're muted, I think, Raj.
Greg, go ahead and unmute. Go ahead, Greg. All right, while Greg is coming on, let me go ahead and play an important announcement here. So everything that you've seen here, my friends, takes a tremendous amount of work, as you can just imagine. And so there's another thing that we would like you to do, because the people that are making those calls, the people that send the emails to you, the people that get the podcast and all of that coordinated, they also have to pay bills. That means they have to get paid. So I would really like very much for you to go to theflagshirt.com, go to theflagshirt.com. I know you see a lot of guys wearing these fantastic shirts like this one here on these shows, but very important, they have an amazing lineup of women's wear as well, and all kinds of gifts and accessories. Take a look at this great video.
What defines the American spirit? Preserving life, liberty, and pursuing happiness. Caring for the nation we call home and its people. As patriots, it's our duty to drive the entrepreneurial spirit, pushing hard, reaching for success, sharing patriotism, because the American way of life is for all to live. The Flag Shirt, where freedom reigns.
And that is a word from theflagshirt.com, theflagshirt.com. So thank you very much for going there. And while Greg is unmuting,
I did.
Oh, there you go. Greg is unmuted. The last thing I'll say is when you wear this shirt and you walk into the grocery store, guys, it's a statement. Without you saying a word, it's a powerful statement. People love to see someone being patriotic like that. So it's a great encouragement to people that people are still bold and are proud of this country. Speaking of people that are proud of this country, Greg Stenstrom, you're up, sir.
Hi. Hey, Raj. Hey, Steve. Nice to be here. It's tough. I didn't realize how tough it was to follow Mike Lindell. You know, he's so expressive. Come after him. Not as expressive, but always good to hear from him. And again, I think he's got another plug. I'll give another plug for MyPillow. He is a patriot, and he's been supportive of quite a few people I know on this show today, and election advocates around the country. So I want to give him my personal thanks too, and thank him. So what's going on in Pennsylvania and actually across the country? I think the big news right now is that we have a King's Bench. It's a special petition to the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, and we've asked them to intervene in actually 3 different cases. And the problem we're running into here is we have the evidence of the election fraud. We have evidence of malicious activity to shape elections, to change elections, and to basically shape the outcomes of elections. And we've submitted multiple lawsuits at the common pleas level, Commonwealth level, Superior Court level. We've gone to the federal courts, the Third Circuit Court, U.S. Supreme Court. And what we're determining is that there are specific nodes of control that they're able to control. When I say they, I'll talk about that later. But they have been able to shape elections by using clerks or people with ministerial duties to quash cases. And in some cases, there's specific judges, and they keep repeating over and over again, there's specific judges that catch cases. And we're in that situation now where we got to a point where we submitted a lawsuit 3 months ago in Pennsylvania because they were trying to redistrict and change polls, and they were doing a number of things to shape the election so that it was weighted very, very heavily to a Democrat majority. And they also seem to be directing the precincts, and they seem to be directing people away from the most heavily, I'm going to say, Republican areas. So there was definitely election shaping going on, and we submitted that case 3 months ago, and it sat for about a little over 2 months. They didn't want it. They were trying to suppress it. Well, simultaneous to that, a county council, someone who was running for county council in Delaware County, which is 500,000 people. We're a big county. A guy named Charlie Alexander, he got knocked off the ballot for a minor, what they call a hyper-technical issue. And it's been miscategorized by quite a few people, and it's convenient to a false narrative that's been put out by both the left and the GOP. But what we found was the GOP itself, the local GOP, I think they were a little misguided, and the DNC decided that they didn't want specific candidates on the ballot. So they had told the candidates, bring your financial reporting file down to the Board of Elections office with all your other signature papers and all the papers. It's a big package they have to submit. And the clerk's office is, I believe, it's either one floor up or right next door for the county. And they were told, candidates were told, just leave it here. We're good to go. Take your stamped copy, and they got a stamped copy. They all submitted them on time, and then go. So on March 21st, they all got 12 of them got served at I think Charlie got served at 6 or 7 at night and said you have to be in court at 10 tomorrow morning. It was 2 in the afternoon. He shows up. They said we're knocking you off the ballot. The hearing was incredibly flawed. And 12 people, just like that, they whacked off the ballot within a 24-hour period. So looking at it closer, they did the same thing to 42 people in the next neighboring county, which is about the same size, Montgomery County. It's another big county. And what we found, it was the same judges. It was the same attorneys, GOP attorneys and DNC attorneys who worked for the GOP and the DNC. And these people were unlawfully removed from the ballot. And they said, well, you didn't get your form into the clerk's office. And they're like, it's right next door. And we were told to leave it here. We were told to do it. They said, yeah, we know, but it was your responsibility to get at the clerk's office. Well, there's 4 presiding case laws in Pennsylvania that say that a person can't be knocked off the ballot for that reason, hyper-technical reason. So we submitted a lawsuit, and we said, put them back on the ballot. So we fought for a couple of weeks in the lower court, in the county court, and it was dismissed. And we asked the judge for an opinion because it was dismissed for no reason. And we asked him for an opinion 7 times, 7 different filings. They said, you guys are filing way too many filings. We've said no, we're not going to give you opinion. It's just an order that he's removed, and we don't have to give a damn reason. So we went to the Pennsylvania Commonwealth Court. They have been sitting on that case for 3.5 weeks, and they refused to act on it and refused to rule. All of the attorneys involved in the county and they refused to file briefs. So we went to the Pennsylvania Supreme Court with what's called a King's Bench and said, look, we can't get any justice here. We have a time-sensitive issue that's got to be solved within a few days, at the most a week. And we certainly have to do so before they start printing ballots and before they start testing machines and so forth. So what they did is they call it strategic mooting. And the mooting, they're saying, look, we're just not going to hear you. We're not going to hear about the 54 candidates that you want to get back on the ballots. Not going to hear that. We're not going to hear about the illegal redistricting. We're not going to hear about the fact that we moved all the polling locations, not all, but quite a few polling locations. We're not going to hear that we're not testing the machines legally again, because we submitted that. They're not testing the machines in accordance with both federal and state rules. They're just doing what they want, box people in, and they're testing the machines 20 feet away. People aren't allowed to bring in phones, cameras, and and they turned all the machines away from them. So they're literally sitting 20 feet away from a little computer screen that's turned away from them, trying to observe elections. This is the nonsense that's gone on. Late last night, I got a call, and they've instructed that the judges of elections, are not going to be allowed to do their jobs. Beginning the election, they have to count the ballots to go in, the number of ballots to go in the machines. They have to take machine count numbers. And they've been said, no, you can't touch anything this year. This is in Chester County right now, and I think in Delaware County. And they said, you got to put everything in the bag. You can't touch anything. And if you do, it'll be a federal charge and you'll be arrested, which means they can't verify the machine counts. They can't verify how many ballots in their boxes. And there'll be no record or no evidence of how many people voted or who people voted, and no oversight. What we're seeing here is it's a ideological impairment, an ideological. I said demented, but I would say it's an ideological driven thing to prevent this. So 2 days ago, after sitting there for weeks and then sitting there for days and not getting any response from anybody, no briefs, we get an order from a clerk, stamped by a clerk. It's a 2,100-page filing with violations of misconduct against the judges, criminal misconduct by the attorneys involved. It's a complete disaster. And we got a stamp from a clerk that says dismissed, it's denied. So a clerk decided that we're going to deny this case. So immediately went back and we said, well, clerks don't get to put on robes. And we said it more technical than that, but we submitted that. So now we sit nearly 2 days later, and everybody's mum. Yesterday, we went into one of the cases, the lower court case, and we said, hey, we can't, the Supreme Court, we gave the court notice that while the Supreme Court has this case, you don't have jurisdiction, or at a minimum, you shouldn't act on anything until we hear back from the Supreme Court. Well, he said, well, we got that. It was denied last night. We said, well, it was denied by a clerk. We've already told you that it's illegal. A clerk can't, deny a Supreme Court case in King's Bench. It's not how it works. So I said, we're not going to participate. We can't participate in this hearing because we would waive our rights. If we participate in this hearing, then the Supreme Court's going to say, well, the other courts assume jurisdiction. And, I think that was part of the plan, and they weren't counting on us not participating. But he said, okay, nevertheless, it's all dismissed. I'm dismissing all the motions. I'm dismissing the case. And if you want, you can refile. Well, they've already printed all the ballots, and they've already run an election. They're testing the machines. And what they've said to the American public, 54 candidates, is we're not going to do what you want, and we're not going to listen to you. You're not going to get any recourse to address your grievances in any timely manner. And the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania, the Commonwealth Court of Pennsylvania, 9 judges on each, the Common Pleas Courts of Montgomery County and Delaware County, the judges have remained mute.
2 minutes, Greg, 2 minutes.
So, anyways, that's the update from Pennsylvania. And I do expect we will be taking it to the Supreme Court, regardless of what they do. We'll be going to the Supreme Court with this case. But it's a case that people should watch. The case number is 49 Mike 2025. And it's on the Pennsylvania Supreme Court docket. The lower case Commonwealth case is 386 CD 2025. And the number's too long for the Delaware court. But I just wanted to mention that we only had a few minutes, and so it's been a concern. I'm watching what they're doing, and they're so anxious to shape the elections. And I watch the news pretty carefully. And I see a lot of times they telegraph what they're going to do. If anybody's watching the news, they'll see that there's measles outbreaks now. I think they had, 3 people have died, or 3 children have died so far. And I think that I don't think anyone would fall for COVID again and locking down the country again for COVID. But certainly the measles or some other outbreak would discourage people from showing up at the polls. So I see that as a problem that's happening. And as a company that I put up on our website from very close friends of mine, a product called Immuno Profile. And it's Immuno, IMMUNO Profile. And they have a simple test that tests for 11 common tests, including the measles. And it's just a little prick in your finger. And what they'll do is they'll tell you what your immunity is. And I've taken the test myself. I was a little low on measles myself. But right now, they estimate that 40% of children in the United States are not, for a number of reasons, are not immunized. And 86% of adults have lower immunities than they should. Now, for whatever you feel about vaccines and so forth, what I encourage you to do is go to this Immunoprofile company. There's a test kit there. It's really reasonably priced. But I think if it's better to know. And I wanted to plug that. And the last thing, I appreciate that. I do think it's related to election security. We're doing the big fight here on the machines and all the problems that Mike's talked about. Mark and the people before me and the people after me are going to talk about. But I think we have to look at asymmetric warfare and asymmetric problems. And I see all the vitamin D, zinc, and I think Dr. Frank's on here, Dr. Jim. There's a bunch of people we know, and we'll get a lot of information regarding any attempts they make. But one thing I want to do is, lastly, is you can find me on www.patriot.online. There's a donate button there, and right now we have 4 different cases at very high levels of the court. There's a donate button there at www.patriot.online. Like I said, there's 2,100 pages, and the Supreme Court and like number of pages in the other courts, and it's quite a battle to stay up with it all. And we could use the help and the donations. So you can find me on X at Greg Stenstrom, and I don't post there as much as I should because I'm a co-founder of Patriot.online. But I can't thank you enough, Steve. I can't thank you enough, Raj. Having met now a couple of times personally, the commitment this takes to get 3 million viewers right now, I think we're at, and get the number of podcasts and live streams and a wonderful guest. It's an honor to be here. I think Joe Hoft is next, and he's one of my favorite people. And
we got to thank you, Greg. And
I can't thank you.
I want to let you know that Anthony, who's up there, hey, Anthony, wave to everybody, and Melissa do a phenomenal job because we couldn't do it without them, and Raj. What this takes to put this on, we have about 11 computers working. We have people all over the country on this thing. To go to the minute and have it done like this is unbelievable. So thank you very much, Joe Hop. You're up. Greg, you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
And right before Joe Hoff comes on, people are asking, where can you get the recording of this event? That is a great question, because even though you're on this call, we're asking you to please share the recording of this event. And it's very, very easy to get here. All you have to do is go to SternAmerican.com, SternAmerican.com. Hopefully, yeah, I am. And when you get to SternAmerican.com, just scroll down and click on the Rumble logo. See the Rumble logo? Just click the Rumble logo.
You got the flag shirt. You got the flag shirt up there, which I appreciate. But we need the Stern American up there.
Copy that. Let me stop the share. There we go. Let me do that again. Share to share. Okay, great. Steve, can you see my mouse moving?
I can see you now.
Okay, great. So real quick, go to SternAmerican.com, SternAmerican.com. This is what that looks like. Scroll down, click the Rumble icon. That brings you to Stern American's Rumble page, and all the videos are here. You can see right now, this show is on. 3,500 people are watching it just on Stern American over there. If you want to see the previous episodes, you can see those there, 71,000 views, 36,000 views. That's just on SternAmerican.com. So that is how you can get the replay of this event. And again, this entire show has one singular call to action. And what is that singular call to action? For you, my friends that are watching this, call Governor Jared Polis. Here's his phone number. Take a screenshot. Here's his email. Take a screenshot. you're going to be asked to leave a message. Keep it short, keep it sweet, but make sure you're to the point, and you ask him to pardon Tina Peters. Very simple. Pardon Tina Peters. It's not complicated. So please take action there. And Joe Hoft is next. Go ahead, Joe. You're up.
Thanks, Steve, Raj, Greg, nice seeing you, and everybody else here. Thanks so much for being here. I really think you're doing a great job by just being here. And next step is like was just mentioned by Raj, make some calls, send some emails, and share this with your friends and family and anybody that you know that you think would be interested in supporting this cause. Let them know that we need to get a hold of this governor and these people in the state of Colorado, and encourage them to set Tina Peters free. We're not begging them, and we're not mandating that they do. We're going to encourage them that they do so, because this atrocity against Tina Peters has just been, for most of us, just it's beyond anything we've ever seen in this country before. I think I can speak for many of us that we're just shocked with what we've seen over these past few years in this United States of America, and the actions that have been taken against our president, against our friends, against our family, against people that share the truth like myself. It has been a nightmare what we've been going through. And we've got a month, or not a month, but hopefully in the next year, we're going to figure this out. We're going to get this election back in order, because if you can't replace the monsters that are in public office now across this country in states where elections are absolutely broken, well, then you don't have a free country. You've got a communist or fascist regime. And I believe some of these states, and some of these states that are ran by these Democrats, they have made them just unbearable. It's stuff we haven't seen ever before in this country. These are real dire times. These are really, really important times, and I don't know how to share so much with you in such a short period of time, but this is really, really important. Raj, I was going to ask you, I put together a 2-minute video for Tina. I don't know if you have it. Are you able to share that?
Okay, give me a minute to find it. Did you email it to me, Joe?
I sent it to Steve. I'm not sure if Steve got it to you. That was
I didn't see it, Joe.
Okay.
Let me take a look. If you can keep going, Joe, and if you have it there, you can play it. You can play it, but let me take a look as well.
Joe, could also you let everybody know how to get your newsletter. I get it every once in a while, but it's phenomenal. You do a sensational job on getting the news out, and it's very important.
Yeah,
and also, let me ask everybody, I know, are you on X?
Yeah, I'm on X at realjoehoff.com. There's a big piece we put up here recently, Steve, was involved California, where we've determined that 1 out of 5 voters in California is either this was in Orange County, the 6th largest county in America. 1 out of 5 is either a non-citizen, an illegitimate voter, or a phantom voter. We don't even know who they are. That's what's going on in these states like California, I believe Colorado, Oregon, Washington, New York, and other states. So again, we don't have elections right now, not in those states, and we've got to get this fixed soon before this country's taken over by the same methodology that we're seeing in these big, beautiful states like California. So I wanted to share a couple things, and yeah, let me know, Raj, if you get a hold of that video. But I was just going to share. That's fine. That's fine.
No,
Okay.
Joe, if not, we can get it out, and we can get somebody else on there.
That's fine. It was just 2-minute video where I was just really impressed by the movie selection code. When we talk about Tina Peters, when I saw her in that movie speak about how the FBI had destroyed her garage, had thrown her belongings across her garage, including that box from her son that she didn't have the ability to open because she'd missed her son so badly after he had died. And she grabbed that box and opened it up. I cried when I saw that. That's what Tina Peters shared a few years ago before she ever imagined that she'd be finding herself in prison. I wanted to share a couple articles that I put up. One was a piece that I received from a lady in Colorado. She had been communicating with Tina.
Pardon me, Joe, for interrupting. Larry from OBBM just sent me a link to your video. I believe this is And let me just run screen, just confirm that this is the
I
one.
want to thank Larry also for everything he's doing to get us everybody up there.
Right.
Thanks very
Yeah,
much.
let's play that. Let's play that real quick. This is that selection code piece, if you can, Raj. If not,
Yeah, absolutely. And again, want to ask people to go to obbmnetwork.tv, obbmnetwork.tv. They're one of the latest companies to come alongside to push this event out. And here is Joe Hoff's video here that you were just talking about. Take a listen to this.
Hey, this is Joe Hoff with the Joe Hoff Show and a good friend of Tina Peters. When I think of Tina, I can't help but think of that scene in the movie Selection Code where she tells a story about how the FBI raided her home and tore her garage apart and emptied this box of her child or son's belongings. Yeah, I cried when I saw this. Maybe you'll remember this as well.
Sandy, just people doing their job. And when I came back that night, when I came into the garage, I looked and there was a box. It was a box that had the effects of my son's that I had not been able to open since his death in 2017. Laying there on the floor all disheveled. It represented places that I didn't want to go. Things I didn't want to see. You know, that box is something that I don't know if I would have ever. Opened it. It made me realize that we all have boxes that we need to open. We all have things that we need to face.
It's outrageous what Tina Peters.
Thanks, Raj. I go on to just say this is just so outrageous what we've seen with Tina Peters, and it never should happen in this country. This is not a communist regime, but it's turning into one, and we've got a lot of work to do. Contact the governor of the state. You've got the information. Do everything you can to reach out. I had a couple other articles I was going to mention real quick. One was I wrote a piece Tina Peters had sent me through a friend that she was saying, hey, if I die here in prison, it's not me. I'm not committing suicide. I'm not suicidal. A few weeks later, I received an email from a lady. She said, I'm really interested in that article that you wrote, Joe. I am Tina Peters' mom, and I'm 96 years old, and I am very concerned about her, and I want you to get that message to President Trump. And we've done the best we can to do that. And this is what they're doing to her, telling you this is just the beginning. And when these people take over, if we allow them to take over, they will show no mercy for any of us. This is very serious. We've got to take it serious. And I thank you, Raj and Steve, for doing this, because this is a story that needs to be told. Thank you very much.
So just to let you know, I just got a text that in Queens, New York, 6,000 Democrats in the last month changed to Republicans. That tells you something. So everybody on this call, let's call the governor. I don't see a lot of calls going in. I called over there myself during a break, and if a call goes through, that means it's probably not enough calls going through. So we're going to go on for a week, pleading with people to call. It doesn't take a lot of effort to pick up the phone and call. Everybody can do that. And if you have a family and they're great Republicans, ask them to call. This is all I'm asking you to do. I've done this now for 20 straight days, 6 hours a day. I've avoided my own business just to do this. So all I'm asking you for one favor, call the governor, Jared Polis, ask him to get Tina released. And if this happens, that's going to mean that Joe Hoff that Raj Dejami, that Steve Stern, and everybody on here have a voice. And that's going to make a difference in this country. Think of all the people that started this country, that died for our country. Think of all the people that fought in wars, that died for this country. And Tina Peters is really a martyr because she fought for this country and her age at 70 years old. She doesn't have a long time to live properly. And we need to get her out. So if 1 million people call or 2 million people call, that's going to make a big difference. Thank you, Joe, for everything you're doing.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Next up is Ed Fisher. Can you find Ed? West Virginia. So we try to bring people on from every state if we can. If you know anybody that wants to come on our next one, let us know. We always look for new people to get on.
Go ahead, Ed.
Okay, Raj. Let's see. I can't see myself, Raj.
We can see you look good. Your shirt looks even better.
Beautiful. I have a flag shirt. Yes, and that's an homage to to Steve and you. I want to thank you very much for giving us this opportunity to participate today. We want to give you an update on West Virginia, but first I'd like to say, this special podcast about Tina, we participated by providing a video to Steve, and so we hope you get a chance to see that. And we want Tina to know that West Virginia supports you completely, Tina, and all your courage that you're showing all of us. There are a lot of folks here that have been an inspiration to us in West Virginia, and a lot of them are speakers today. And we want you to know that we stand on your shoulders. You've been at this for 15, 20 years, whatever. We're relatively new compared to that, but we're working very hard to make elections very transparent in West Virginia. So, Raj, I'm going to share my screen and pop up a couple of
go right ahead. Go right ahead.
slides.
Go ahead. Okay, we can see your screen.
Can you see that?
We can see your screen.
Okay, great. So I'm here representing a group of citizens in West Virginia. We call ourselves Citizens for West Virginia Election Integrity. We were founded in 2023, and all of our members are volunteers, and we have people from all over the state. Our skill sets include IT, cybersecurity. We have some lawyers. We have former election clerks, communications, door-to-door canvassing, very active in legislation. We actually have a House and a Senate member in our group, and that's all been very good. We've really focused on developing relationships at the grassroots level in West Virginia with the citizens, and also relationships with all of the different election officials, including the Secretary of State and the county clerks and the legislators. So similar to most of you, we're fighting for election transparency, clean voter registration rolls. That's where the fraud starts, and comprehensive audits. We support completely President Trump's election integrity executive order, and we are working with our election officials to determine how that would play in West Virginia and get it ready for that, costing it out, and so on. We work on raising grassroots awareness of election issues. We do press releases, face-to-face discussions, and surveys, anecdotal surveys to take that information to everyone that's involved in this. We also engage all of the election officials at the state and county level in working sessions, and this is good because any issue we have, we can sound it out with them and get their feedback, as well as sounding it out with the citizens and get their feedback. We review all the legislation that is connected with election integrity in West Virginia, and we endorse those that accomplish, and we also oppose some of the legislation as well. Probably the biggest thing that we have accomplished and we're most proud of in West Virginia is our citizens group helped to facilitate the establishment of an election integrity caucus in the legislature in August of 2024. We helped to put together this event for the formation of the caucus, and we work hand in hand with them very closely. In fact, we have chat groups with them where we communicate all the time. We have reviewed and deeply analyzed all the 2025 West Virginia election integrity legislation. We ended up endorsing 27 bills and opposed 2. So right now, the session just ended. So 8 endorsed bills passed both chambers, including 2 of the big ones, which is including prohibition of ranked choice voting. And we also got photo ID. The photo ID bill I just checked hasn't been signed by the governor yet, but Governor Morrissey's fully supportive, so I'm sure that will be signed. And 3 more of these have passed at least one of the chambers. So we'll work on those. We have a number of bills that we were intimately involved in, and we want to get them passed next year or through interim sessions. Both bills we were opposed were defeated. One bill, which would have stripped the voters' right to take a photo of the completed ballot, we were very instrumental in trying to defeat that bill. So that was defeated on the floor. We established a registration audit center to find invalid registration records, and we're building on all of the good work that has been done by people that are speaking here today and so on. We have partnered with several national and state groups. We've partnered with Election Integrity Network. They're a partner of ours, and they attend our group meetings. We partnered with True the Vote and IV3. We use their website to identify invalid registrations, and so we appreciate that work by Catherine and her team. We work with Fight Voter Fraud, Linda Sinkowicz's group. Linda has been terrific supporting us in identifying double voting where people have voted both in West Virginia and in other states. We worked with EIN, Election Integrity Network, Cleta Mitchell's group on endorsing the SAVE Act jointly with them. We've worked on executive order advocacy, and we also worked on making comments to the EAC this week. Okay, and we also work with several state groups, MOVCAC, MOVCAC, which is a much broader than election integrity, but they're folks that are working in election integrity. They're on our team, and we regularly update those people. We also have a partner in Base Data West Virginia, and they've been working in registration issues now for several years. And so we're interacting with them. We presented multiple cases of election fraud evidence to West Virginia election officials now, and we'll continue to do that. So our next steps are to continue working with our partners. We did submit our information to DOJ, and hopefully we can get an interaction with them. I was interested in what Catherine said about their participation with DOJ, so maybe we can hook up on that. And we'll continue to do the other work, the registration, engage the election officials and the grassroots, and continue to identify vulnerabilities. Now, West Virginia's a little different, and it's not a swing state. There's only 4 electoral votes, but we still have the same vulnerabilities as in other states. So we're learning from you, and hopefully you can gain, some ideas from what we've done as well. And our contact information is shown there. So, Steve and Raj, I think that's it, unless you have any comments.
No, pretty good. Thank you very much for coming on here. I want to thank Rumble, Nick from Rumble, who put us up on the front page and is helping us get more podcasters, and Liz Tabato, who is the chairman of the Republican Party in Colorado, who actually got a lot of Colorado people on this call today, which is very important because that's where Tina is. She's now in a jail in, I believe, Pueblo, Colorado, which is 2 hours from our attorneys. And she was nice enough to do that little speech, which will be on our channel. One thing I forgot to ask everybody, if they would follow me on SternAmerican on Twitter. X is very helpful because the more people we get on there, the more information we can get out. And I want to bring on Randy and Kimberly from the Carolinas, who have an important message for us.
Hello there. I'll let Kimberly start off. She'd like to do a introduction, I guess, for the group we're working with, United Cyber Americans. So go ahead, Kim.
So I'm actually from Michigan, and Randy is in New York. So we work together. Everyone thinks I'm from New York, but every once in a while they think Randy's from Michigan, but anyway, we work long distance from each other. So what I kind of want to do is introduce United Sovereign Americans. I'm state director here in Michigan for United Sovereign Americans. And, you know, first I want to say God bless Tina. She is a hero and a patriot. And it brings me to tears watching the clip that Joe showed. And she is one of the reasons we all fight. And we can all be doing something, which Randy and I are going to also talk a little bit about what we've been doing locally outside of USA. But it ties right in. So United Sovereign Americans has studied federal elections in 21 states. We're the first organization to measure the current election misconduct as defined in criminal law. And boy, did we find a lot of bad stuff. So what the conclusion of our analysis, we discovered that the current election process is an uncontrolled, unmonitored disaster, and it's producing false returns, a direct violation of the right of qualified citizens to choose their representatives from Article 1, Section 2 of the U.S. Constitution, and the guarantee of a Republican system of government in Article 4, Section 4. So what we want to do is force elections to obey the law, and we have filed litigation for that reason. Everything I'm saying can be found at unite4freedom.com. That's our website, unite4freedom.com. The second thing that we want to do is secure our entire election system. And we have drafted federal legislation that covers not only, you know, things like voter ID and machines, it covers it all. We have a comprehensive solution that we would like to have passed, which we have been working on. And we also want to hold non-compliant officials personally responsible for breaking the law. And they are breaking a lot of laws. And that's what our research has found. So all of this can be found at unite4freedom.com. And then I'm just going to say quickly a couple of things that I've done locally as well here in Michigan, outside of USA, but it all ties in, and we can all be doing something, even if it's not, if you volunteer for United Sovereign Americans or the other groups that have been on here, we all should be doing something because it all matters. You know, chip away at the big block that we need to get rid of. So just last Friday, I just happened to see that my state board of elections was having a meeting, and it was based on language, summary language, to state this, what they were going to do with a proposed amendment to our Constitution to allow or to keep non-citizens from voting. So I happened to go there, and we only had 1 minute to speak, 1 minute. So I just went up and stated a bunch of laws that are already in place to prevent non-citizens from voting. And so I stated those and basically mic drop. And what I told them is there's no reason we can't get proof of citizenship. I had to get show ID when I was 16 years old for my driver's license. And so many other things we have to show proof of ID for, or proof of citizenship for. So this excuse that when you get married and your name changes, you can't show that you're a citizen is not true. And we all know that. So we need to all be doing things like this. And I'll be honest, I was scared to death to go up there and speak, but I did it anyway. And I think we can all do that, and we all should be doing that. So I know Randy wants to talk a little bit more about the analysis that USA has done and the results of that. So go ahead, Randy.
Okay, literally thousands of hours of research has gone into this group was performed, going through the records of, well, we're up to 25 states. And I have here a 21 state aggregate report that the United Sovereign Americans put together on the audit of the 2022 election. And the numbers are staggering. looking at registrations, that's the first thing we look at because they need those false registrations. They need the blown up registrations in order to be able to create all the extra votes that are needed and be able to manipulate things. And we found 29 million materially deficient registrations in 21 states. 29 million. That means they're either duplicated or they've got a person who doesn't have an address, or it's on registration on January 1st, which is illegal. The Board of Elections isn't open on January 1st. That's impossible. There's people that can't even be found. They use the same tools that FBI and debt relief people are using to try and find people that they're looking for. Couldn't find them. They don't exist. They don't have a social security number. They don't have an address. They don't have anything. And yet there they are, registered to vote. Out of those 29 million deficient registrations, 10 million of those cast votes. 10 million. Think about that. What does it take to overcome 10 million false votes? How diluted are our votes when we have 10 million false votes coming in from registrations that are absolutely false? We had 2 million more votes that were cast than there were voters. That in order to cast a vote, you have to sign in, whether you vote in person or mail in or absentee or however you vote, you have to sign in order to participate in that election. We had 2 million votes in those 21 states that had no signature whatsoever. They just showed up. 2 million. We had a 13% error rate in those 21 states in the election. You're allowed less than 1%. I believe the number is like 0.008% that you're allowed in an error rate. We're running at 13%. So the point is, there's a lot of errors. There's a lot of shenanigans going on there, and it's absolutely producing elections that are not certifiable. There is no way that these elections can be certified legally. One other thing that we had in New York, all of the counties are supposed to match what the state reports about that county at the end of the election. They're all supposed to reconcile. They're all supposed to match. We have 62 counties in New York in the election of 2020, and it's been the same since, not much different. Not one county matched the state report. They're not supposed to certify that. So a lot of what United Sovereign Americans is trying to do is to force election officials to follow the law and not certify elections that clearly don't follow the law. So we do a lot of work with United Sovereign Americans. That's our main group. That's our passion for sure. But we also work with other groups and other people. And one of the things that I'm doing locally, Kimberly was talking about some of what she's done. She's doing some things similar to what I'm doing in Michigan. I filed a federal lawsuit against my county board of elections in Cattaraugus County, New York. So we went in there one day and we were asking for the cast vote records. And I think Dr. Frank will be following us, will understand why we want the cast vote records. And along with Professor Clements, who we've worked with a lot as well. Those cast vote records are very revealing about the patterns and things in the machines that are impossible to be in a natural election or to be human. It's machine generated, which is why we have to get rid of those machines. But they denied us the cast vote record. They told us when we were at the meeting they were going to deny us the cast vote record. We showed them the law that says that they have to give it to us. Federal law states that the cast vote records are part of the auditable material that shall be available for public consumption at all times. That's a pretty simple sentence to understand. And yet New York passed a law that said that their county people aren't allowed to give us those cast vote records, which is contrary to federal law. There's also a law that states clearly that federal law supersedes state law in a federal election. So they have no grounds to withhold those cast vote records. So I took it to a federal court for a declaratory judgment from a federal judge. And it's in process. We survived the dismissal effort. They tried really hard to get that dismissed. They failed. We will have our day in court. And furthermore, in the New York State Legislature, I don't know if this is connected or just a random thing, But the New York State Legislature just put a bill in the floor to rescind the law that I'm complaining about, that they're not allowed to give us the cash vote records.
1 minute, Randy.
Yep. And so that law, we didn't think would ever make it out of committee. It did. It went to the Senate floor. They passed it. It still has to go through the Assembly. So going back to what Kimberly stated, we can all do something. We're as grassroots as it gets. And we just decided to get involved. We just couldn't believe what was going on. We knew there were some things going on, and then the election 2020 happened, and we decided to get involved. And we've come a long ways. We've traveled thousands of miles, spent thousands of hours on Zoom calls, and we're doing everything we can do to make a difference. And as far as Tina Peters goes, we all know she has no business in jail. I made a little video in support of her this morning. It's absolutely crazy that they put her in jail. She's a political prisoner. There is no reason why she should have gotten arrested or put in jail. She did her job. She did exactly what she was supposed to do. And that woman is the picture of courage, and she should be an inspiration to each and every one of us. There's risk in this, and she's paying a high price. And we need to do everything we can to get her out of that situation.
Thank you very much. Raj, put that back up again, and let's see the calls coming in, because it doesn't look like a lot of people are calling. I know they're watching this, but it takes about 2 minutes to make the call. So I want to see that filled up before we're over. We got another half an hour left. We now have Dr. Doug Frank on, who did the best video I've ever seen. It's going to be posted. It's posted on my X and other places. It's phenomenal. He did testify at the trial for Tina Peters and knows everything that's going on. So Dr. Frank, please come on. You travel all over the country. You meet more people than I know. So thank you very much for coming on today.
A pleasure to be with you. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, I can hear you and see you.
Excellent. I like your bow tie, but I'd like to see you wear a flag shirt.
I know. I did post that video at your request. Thank you for asking me for doing that, Steve. A lot of people have already made some great comments, and so I don't think I just want to repeat some of that, but I'd like to point out a few of the things that are unique to me and my situation with Tina. You remember that she was under state arrest for a couple of years there. The state would not let her travel out of the state. So what I was doing, and you guys know that I've been traveling the country. I've been in 48 states. I've given over 700 public presentations. I would often Zoom her in and let her speak to the crowd. And then that way people could talk to her during my events. It was a way to kind of give her encouragement, because she was basically locked up in the communist state of Colorado. So that was one thing. Another thing that's sort of unique to me is I've been sending people to her website to support her. I've been connected with her since the very beginning, of course, because I was the one in her office, as you heard in the court case, that helped to arrange the backups of her machines.
Dr. Frank, can I ask you one question?
Fire away, brother.
Would you mind if Kimberly Fletcher got on? We're running late and she's got to make a plane.
Oh, fine. Go ahead.
Okay, so we're going to put Kimberly on, Moms for America. Kimberly, you want to come on, and then we'll get Dr. Frank to take up.
No worries. Happy to do it.
Thank you very much.
I'm not seeing Kimberly Fletcher on. Is she under a different name?
I don't know. Let me check. You'll let Dr. Frank keep going on, and I'll.
Well, maybe while we're waiting, I can just tell you, we had Mike Lindell on earlier, and I was with Mike Lindell at CPAC when he got 90 minutes in the White House, in the Oval Office with President Trump. And he spent some of his political capital, some of that time in the Oval Office, bringing Tina Peters' situation to the attention of the president. And when Mike came out of that room, he was just bouncing off the wall. He was so excited. The president said yes to all of our requests. And when he brought up Tina Peters to President Trump, Trump pointed to the 6 attorneys in the room and he said, "Get her out." So, and then the next few days, that's when the the Department of Justice launched their investigation. So, Mike has been loyal to her since the very beginning. I mentioned that in that little video that I put together as well. But anyway, you want me to just keep going, I guess, Steve, because you're working on getting Kimberly back.
And hey, if you could, Frank, Dr. Frank, in your not everyone's seen your video. They may not, and not everyone will see it. Could you please refer to the comments you made about them refusing to allow the evidence in the courtroom, because a lot of people do not know how thwarted that whole proceeding was, Dr. Frank.
Raj, you're right on the money. That was going to be my next bullet point. I'm following my bullet point. So we're in sync. So what people need to understand is that during the trial, they played 11 minutes of a recording of me in Tina Peters' office. What most people don't realize is that most of that recording, I was talking to somebody else. I wasn't even talking to Tina Peters, but the prosecution made it appear that it was me talking with Tina. And so they misconstrued this a little 11-minute segment that was taken out of context. Now, if I don't get a chance to be in the witness stand and for the attorneys to cross-examine me and to say, hey, wait a minute, what did you mean by this and this and this? And for me to clear that up, then basically they're misrepresenting the evidence, and they did so knowingly. I was not allowed to testify in the lawsuit. I think of all the things, I mean, Judge Barrett is like so biased. I mean, that's grounds already for a mistrial. But the fact that I didn't get to testify in the lawsuit, I was the one they played a recording of. I was the one who was with Tina Peters at the very beginning, sitting in her office and set up to get the backups that Mark Cook then later investigated. So, I mean, for me to not be able to testify should tell you a huge amount. And honestly, I used to tell people this Tina Peters case will never go to court, because if it does go to court, we're going to be able to put all this evidence into court. And I was wrong. And the reason I was wrong is because I'm not an attorney, I'm a physicist. What I didn't anticipate was that in all the pretrial hearings, they excluded all my testimony. They excluded the testimony of several key players in this. So essentially, if you think about it, they've precluded the exculpatory evidence necessary to exonerate Tina. Everything goes to her motive. And you'll notice that, like, for example, the identity theft charge that was put against her, she was found innocent of that. She didn't do anything illegal. She already suspected. The day I walked into her office, she already suspected something was wrong with her elections, because they had just had a municipal election and somebody had called her from the state saying that they already had the results of her election. She didn't even have the results of the election. How could somebody else have the final numbers when the polls weren't even closed yet? And so
Dr. Frank, she's on now. Okay.
I'm going to be quiet. I'll be quiet.
No problem. We'll get you on for longer. Don't worry.
No worries. No worries.
You see
Kimberly,
her
go
on
ahead.
there?
Go ahead. Kimberly Fletcher from Moms of America, please go ahead. You go ahead and unmute if you would. Okay. On your device. There you go.
I am unmuted. Hey, Raj.
Okay. Hi. Good to hear your voice. Go ahead.
I'm actually in your neck of the woods. I'm in Florida today.
Okay. I can't see you on the screen, but that's right. I can hear you, so that's good.
You can't see me?
I can't see. Your camera's on. Let me just see. Let me spotlight. There we go. All right, great. Got the Mount for America colors. Please go ahead.
Take your sunglasses off.
Well, I just am honored to be able to be on the call with you guys today. Tina, there's so many things I could say about this that just infuriates me. We all know the story about what happened to Sharona, literally pulling a blueberry cobbler out of the oven when the FBI is banging down her door. The things that they did to mothers and grandmothers and the people at large during the last 4 years is insane. But what really bothers me about this is that President Trump can't intervene in her case in a legal capacity. He can encourage, he can call, he can say this is wrong. But that governor in that state, we have got to flood her phone lines. We've got to just make her life miserable until she does the right thing. This woman should not be in jail. She's away from her family. She's being tortured for standing up and doing what was right. And we all need to stand up with her and support her in any way that we possibly can, because she does not belong where she is.
So let me ask Kristen, can you get Moms for America to call the governor? Can we get 100,000 Moms for America, grandmas, young moms, everybody to start to call the governor to ask them to pardon her?
Yes. So what we need is we need to have like a short little video, just this is the story. I know it's out there. Brandon Strzok just did a really, really good one where he's like, okay, now that I have the cuff off my ankle and my fake penalties are completed. he can now tell the truth and speak his story, because they kept telling him, you can't say anything, you can't say anything. It literally cut him off at the knees and said, and silenced him. And now he's able to tell his story. And I think if we can get her story out there, especially if it's like from her, and I know there's a video out there about that, we can put the video and the call to action sheet out to our moms. We just want to make it as simple as possible for them. They want to understand what the situation is and that there's something that they can do about it. And the fact that Raj has made it so easy to put the information of where you call and who you call, that is incredibly helpful. So these links, if you can get these links to us, we will get them out to the moms and spread it through our network across the country. We have chapters. We are more of a franchise model. So we have Moms for America branded local autonomous groups across the country, and have moms in their groups. And so it's a pretty extensive network. And that's why video is so powerful, because you can quickly tell the story and explain what it is that's going on and then what you can do about it.
Text me where to send the email to. Tomorrow we'll have all our assistants send you everything that we have. And if you go to the OBBM network, can you see this on Raj? You want to put that on? You'll see all the videos that are already on there, and you can pull any of those off that you want to put. Every one of them is a individual one that we all did for Tina Peters, and they're being uploaded every day. We'll have about 50 to 100 on there. You can, I don't know if you can see them, Kimberly.
Are you sending this to the governor's office as well?
No, what it is we have an email, we have a phone number. We want to get 1 million people. Here's the phone number up there. If we could get 1 million people to call them.
I don't think, Steve, I don't think you should just do the governor. I think you should do the Secretary of State. You should do the Attorney General. You should do the Lieutenant Governor, and just flood them all.
Okay, we'll give you all that information, but today, for the next week, we're going to call the governor, and that's a good idea. We'll get you everybody. You and I will talk tomorrow or Monday, and we'll start to get this going. Just send me anybody's email and text that you want me to get this to, and we'll get this to everybody. And I know your people can do a phenomenal job in helping us. And anything you need, we'll drop what we're doing to get it to you.
We got them on grass fire, so the easier you make it for us, the broader the message is going to go.
Terrific. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. I know you got to make a flight, and we really appreciate you coming on. And Dr. Frank gave up some of his time for you. So let's get Dr. Frank. Thanks a lot, honey. We really appreciate you doing a wonderful job with all those women.
Thank you. Bye-bye, guys.
You got it. Go ahead.
Dr. Frank, back to you. While Dr. Frank is unmuting and getting ready back, again, the call to action here is very, very simple, very, very straightforward. Please make the call even during this call here. And you can see over here already, I just want to shout out a couple of people here. Terry, thank you, man. You have called the governor. You've called a couple of times. Lynn, thank you for calling the governor. Rosa, thanks for taking action. Debbie, thanks for taking action. Joanne, thanks for taking action. And in addition to taking action, please share this very simple thing with the people in your lives. Chris, thank you for doing it. Brandon, thank you for doing it. Please share this with the people in your life. The folks that are watching this on the recording, tens of thousands of people are actually going to watch this on the recording later on during this week. Please take that action of both calling the governor, and in addition to calling the governor, please share this with the people in your lives. Action, action, action.
So I'd like to say Terry Raposa will be on our Zoom meeting next week. Marty Waldman is on there. He is one of the instrumental people in helping Tina Peters. He has done everything to help me. He's a backup today in case somebody doesn't show up, but we'll get him on next time for Tina. We're going to carry this on for months until we get her off. Go ahead, Dr. Frank, you on?
Yeah, I'm back on. When Raj switched the speakers, he forgot to re-enable me. I think. Yeah, but that's okay. No worries. He's juggling a lot of balls in the air. I appreciate Raj. Raj had asked me the question before about the fact that I was not allowed to testify in the case, and how I think this is probably the most obvious thing in the trial, because they played a tape recording of me, yet they didn't allow me to testify. And then when the defense asked to play the longer video, which was an hour and 7 minutes, they precluded that, which would have provided the context. And there are all kinds of misconstrued statements that came out of that short video, which, by the way, I mean, that short tape recording, which I didn't know that was being taken, by the way. So it's nice that it was funny to hear myself 4 years later being recorded in that meeting. I wanted to point out something else very special about that meeting that people didn't know about, because this is supposed to be about Tina. When I walked into that office, Tina already suspected something was wrong, as I mentioned earlier, but something even more. Once I showed her the canvassing results, we had gone knocking on doors for 3 days. We found all kinds of evidence of fraud. You could tell she knew it was real. She knew she had a problem. And you could tell there was this pause. And she said, Dr. Frank, the State Clerks Association in Colorado is a very tightly controlled group. She says, if I come out with any election fraud, they're going to come down on me like a load of bricks. She knew even then, in that very first meeting, this was April of 2021, that if she had to say anything public, it was going to be big. Well, I just got to tell you, after that meeting, I put her in contact with an attorney and a white hat hacker who were able to get the data and get the backups properly and legally. The reason I connected her to attorneys so that she would do everything legally, because it's called fruit from the poison tree. You never want to acquire evidence for a court case in an illegal fashion. So she did all of that legally. And you'll notice that none of the charges against her were about that. It was about other things, influencing a government official and whatnot. They basically trumped up a bunch of charges to punish her so everybody else in the country would be afraid of being Tina Peters, to be scared into compliance. But anyway, she knew right then that it was a serious deal. Now, she went quiet for months. If she was trying to promote herself, she would have been out there talking about it. Oh, look, I got the backups. No. She was under the radar. She never intended to be a public figure. She was afraid of being a public figure because she knew it would be risky to her life and et cetera. So when it was leaked, and it wasn't leaked by her, it wasn't leaked by me, it wasn't leaked by anybody on my team. When it became public, then the Secretary of State of Colorado came down on her like a load of bricks. And that's when the rest, I think you guys have already heard that story. But it's important that you realize that Tina Peters never was in this for herself. She was always about election integrity, about being transparent, investigating anything that came to her attention from her citizens. She was from the beginning. So then when she did come out at the Cyber Symposium in August, I was with her and I stood on the stage with Tina Peters, and they had sent me out to the stage. I was emceeing that, and I had my little earpiece, and they said, we need you to stall. We need you to stall because Tina Peters is having second thoughts. She's afraid to go out. She's afraid to become a whistleblower. Tina is a real person with real fear, okay? It's sort of like you're in a foxhole and you're about to attack the enemy. You are afraid. If you're not afraid, you're not a human being, because you're about to attack the enemy. Courage is when you are afraid, but you go anyway. That's what Tina did. She showed courage. She was afraid at first. She finally came out to the stage, and I was standing on the stage with her, and she was trembling. She was trembling. So I put my arm around her to give her stability, and I started interviewing her, and they were coaching me in the earpiece. Don't talk about this. Don't talk about that, because the attorneys were worried about everything. But, that's the sign of true courage, that she was willing to stand. And I just got to.
Dr. Frank, you just muted, Dr. Frank. Go ahead and unmute. Dr. Frank, you're muted.
While he's unmuting, I just called Governor Jared Polis and left a message.
Sorry about that. You wanted me to wrap up, sounds like. I'll wrap up. But I've been speaking around the country, 48 states, over 700 presentations. And when recently, somebody came up and gave me $40 and said, would you please give this to Tina Peters? And so I could have donated it online, to tinapeters.us or Lindell Offense Fund or something. But instead, I decided I wrote her name on the top of these bills, and I'm carrying them in my wallet with me everywhere I go to remind me to pray for her. And I'm going to put these in her free hands one day and kiss her on the cheek. And I'm encouraging everybody else, donate to help her out, because she's got to pay her mortgage. she has to pay for all that communication she does. Mr. Lindell actually pays for a federal attorney still. So you can still support him, Lindell Offense Fund, and then tinapeters.us. That'll probably help her more with her mortgage and things like that. But anyway, I think you wanted me to wrap up. Did I answer the question you want me to answer, Raj?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Frank.
You're welcome. Are you finished with me then?
Yeah, we just, I just called the governor and told him that you were going to call him next. All right. Thank you very much, Doctor. And we're going to have Greg Langworthy from California, Riverside, California. We try to bring people in from every state, hopefully to have people from North Dakota next time. So, Greg, are you on?
Yep, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
So I'm just going to give you a kind of a timeline of our progress in Riverside County. And our team is kind of we've listened to Doug Frank. In fact, Doug came out to our county kind of at the beginning. He probably knows Shelby Bunch and Yvette Anthony. They were the moms that kind of started our group. But we're kind of like the rest of you, is result of seeing the 2020 election, realizing it was corrupt because of all the cardboard over the windows and people not wanting to show what they were doing. Same thing happened in our county. We had cardboard over the windows in Riverside County. So we kind of came together, a loose group of citizens, and started working. Yvette Anthony was kind of the key person in our group, and she did work in the 2022 elections in Riverside County. And what she did was something so simple, but it exposed the fraud of the election machines in a way that I think anyone can understand. She got all the ballot statements from the ROV. She worked with our registrar at that time, and our assistant registrar, who is now our registrar. And she got all the receipts of all the ballot statements, and she added them up. And her results showed that the machines were counting about 34,000 more ballots than she could justify with the ballot statements. So we brought that information to our supervisors, and our supervisors said, Art, you got to provide an explanation. Where is the records of these 34,000 ballots? They came back with an explanation, which didn't make much sense. So we met with the ROV again before the March primary was certified, March 2024. And in that election, they tried to justify their certification, and we asked them the same question. Did you reconcile the number of ballots with the number of ballots that were counted by the machines? Did you reconcile? That is a requirement in California law. You need to reconcile the number of ballots counted or cast by the voters with the number of ballots counted by the machines. We asked them, did you do that? They said, well, it's in the law, but no, I don't think we did do it. We asked them why they didn't do it. They didn't have a good answer. And so we moved on to the recall election in June, and we decided, well, if the ROV is not going to do this reconciliation audit, we're going to figure out how to do it. So there was a small recall election for a school board member in June, and we came up with a way to count the ballots that were cast in that recall election, getting all the records from the ROV. The ROV was quite cooperative. We got all the ballots. We compared that to the results of their voting machines, and there was a discrepancy of 393 ballots. It didn't match. All right, now that we knew how to do it, we put all this information in a notebook and gave these notebooks to the ROV and to the supervisors, just so they could see this is our work product. We did it. Now we know how to do a reconciliation audit. Again, they didn't show us any work product on their end. So we went into the 2024 election knowing how to do a reconciliation audit.
and a reconciliation of the ballots cast by the voters with the number counted by the machines is a requirement in California law, Election Code 15302. There's no dispute about that. And our ROV and our supervisors all agree, yep, you got to do that. You got to reconcile ballots cast with ballots counted. So we move into the election of 2024. We tell the ROV, we tell the supervisors, now we know how to do this audit. We're committed to do it. So we're going to come to you and ask for all the ballot statements. And we work with one of the ROV workers. Her name's Elizabeth, and she worked with us and she gave us all the ballot statements from the vote centers, all the ballot statements from the drop boxes, and she came up with a way to give us a record of all the ballots that came in from the post office. And so now we had all the ballot statements. It's like the receipts you get when you reconcile your checkbook. That's all we were doing. We wanted to reconcile the checkbook for our election in 2024. We couldn't get all the records until January of 2025. But once we got them, all our moms worked together and added up all the ballot statements, all the receipts. We added them up. We compared that to the number that the machines counted. And there was a discrepancy of 33,888 more ballots counted by the machines than we had receipts for. In February of 2025, we presented this information to the ROV. The ROV, and we gave them all the receipts. We have this term, it's called work product. Work product is simply all the receipts that the ROV gave us, added them up, organized, so they could see how many we got from the vote centers, how many we got from the drop box, how many we got from the post office. We had the records, we had the work product. We gave them our work product. They did not dispute our numbers because they're their own records. So February, we give them the audit. Our registrar, Art, said, okay, we'll get back to you, give you a response. They got back to us just recently, April 10th. Now they were asking for, you saw our work product, where's your work product? How did you reconcile ballots cast with ballots counted? They did not have a work product and they did not have a standard operating procedure for doing such an audit, though they did agree that we're interpreting the law correctly. This is something that has to be done. What they did give us was a reconciliation audit based on reports they got out of the machines, not any original ballot statements, but their own audit showed a discrepancy of, let's see, around 9,286. So their own audit, which was not based on ballot statements, it was based on reports they got from the machines, was off by 9,000. Now, what's the problem? The problem is they're supposed to equal. Ballots cast is supposed to equal ballots counted. It didn't. They agree that we got the law right, okay? And they also have a problem with election code 4.1.1, and you've probably heard of this, that all systems shall achieve a report total error rate of no more than 1 in 125,000. They were nowhere near that, even with their own audit. With our audit, which was based on the original records, they're off by 33,888. Okay, so that's where we are now. Our supervisors were at this meeting. Our supervisor, our DA, our CEO, were all at this meeting where where the registrar tried to explain this discrepancy. So far, we don't have an explanation, but we think what we've showed is that the machines are not counting correctly. The way we explain it is real simple. That machine is a big calculator. So the number of ballots you put in, the same number needs to come out. You can't put a certain number in and then the machine counts something different. If it does, you got a broken machine. And so what our response is right now is our county signed a contract with Dominion, but there's a provision in that contract that says if our equipment is not working properly, give us a chance to fix it. If we can't, then you get a refund. That's what
Greg,
we're
1 minute. 1 minute. Greg.
Okay, that's what we're advocating for the county to do. So they have committed to us to have a public meeting. And we are preparing for that, where we're going to present all this information to the public, because the public really hasn't seen it yet. And we are also going to deal with the problem of the voter rolls. And we're working with Orange County as well to examine our voter rolls. So that's where we are right now.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you coming all the way from Riverside. Our next guest is a good friend of mine. We had lunch last week, John Goodman. He has more people that follow him on X, and he's taught me a lot about X. So if everybody can join me on X, go to SternAmerican, very important, and I'll switch it over to John Goodman. Come on down, John.
No one asked you any questions.
No,
Now they have a blueprint or something.
Yeah, no questions today. We're really running late. Thank you. Raj, you want to get John in?
John, go ahead and unmute. John, go ahead and unmute if you can.
Okay,
Well, John
there we go. There we go.
All right, John. We can see you.
Okay. All right. Thank you very, very much. So anyway, I'm John Goodman. Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon. Today, I want to talk about what I have been doing for the last 7, 8, 9 months. It's so important. And it's a switch of pace from Tina Peters, although that topic is super important in its own right, of course. Mail-in ballots. Remember mail-in ballots? They were marketed by both Democrats and Republicans in 2020 as a one-time deal because of the pandemic. But they haven't been a one-time deal. And they haven't been a one-time deal despite no federal legislation, nothing from Congress, the Senate, constitutional amendment. They just have seeped into a 200-year-old voting system. And we know how fraudulent mail-in ballots are. 4 million fraudulent mail-in ballots in 2020. And there was less in 2024, but there still was Maricopa County, Orange County, California. But Trump had such a big lead, that's why you didn't hear about it as much. But what happens in a close race? What happens then? The Democrats always seem to use the fraudulent mail-in ballots in the key states like Pennsylvania and Georgia and Wisconsin and et cetera. But you never hear of much mail-in ballot fraud in Idaho or Montana. So the Democrats are very strategic. Raj, could you put up that first picture that I want to show the map to everyone, which is the laws from state to state, voting laws from state to state since.
There we go, John.
Okay, yes, post-COVID. Now, how many of you knew that those 8 states in red in 2024 had 100% vote by mail only? There was no option to vote in person. How much bigger way can you create to create fraud? 100% mail in your ballot or you don't vote. And if that red spreads, we will not have any controls of the election, even less than we have now. The blue states, you had your choice. And the only states that went back to absentee vote were the states in gray. And the law is absentee vote. Look in the 1965 Voting Act, look in the Constitution. It says the words absentee vote. It doesn't say mail-in ballots in the Constitution or the Voting Act. So here's a big problem. There seems to be some confusion in the definitions. They're getting convoluted because absentee vote is for people that really can't make it to the voting station. Overseas military, hospice, hospitalized. And like Deb Monks would tell you, there's other criteria where you could have a ballot mailed to your home. Now you can be 25 years old and a fitness expert, and you can vote by mail or ballot harvest or do whatever the heck you want in 37 of the 50 states. So the confusion is they're separate. Mail-in ballots is not the law. That's anybody, a free-for-all that's not in any laws. But yet absentee vote is the law. But think about it. When you send in your absentee vote, you send it in by mail. So people said, yeah, I mailed in my ballot, but it was an absentee vote until now. We used absentee votes as recently as the 2018 midterms. And think about it. When you watched the presidential election last November, think about it. How many times did you hear the word absentee vote? None. None. Because it's a dinosaur. Why do you need absentee vote? You can get a ballot no matter who you are, what health you're in, no matter what age. Think about that. Absentee vote. Didn't even hear it. We go to the next slide picture, if you don't mind, Raj. Here's why I think there's confusion even on Pennsylvania Avenue about the difference between absentee vote, which is for people that really can't make it to the voting station, even though they mail it in, and actual fraudulent and mail-in ballots, which have no legislation. Here's Donald Trump saying absentee voting, early voting, and election day voting. So he obviously thinks absentee voting is still in the system. How could it be? Mail-in ballots is wide open in most every state. Next, if you go to the next slide, please, Raj. If you look at paragraph A, can you zoom in at all on paragraph A? And look at the line right here. This is from the proclamation executive order from a few weeks ago. And you see where he says that look at the top. Provisions by including absentee or mail-in ballots received after election day. He's saying after election day, the votes won't be counted. Well, he lists absentee vote and mail-in ballots like they're two separate entities, like absentee vote still exists. Now, is that confusion? And right there, he leaves mail-in ballots in the voting system. And the proclamation, the whole purpose was to switch back to the voting laws that Joe Biden didn't enforce, like no votes counted after election day. He listed the statutes and he did it. He didn't make up laws. He went back to the laws already on the books, except for this. Not only did he not bring absentee ballot back, which is in the law, but he left something that is not in the law. That's one of the biggest culprits of fraudulent elections. He left that in. He has to not know it's like that. There has to be some confusion. Look at the line again for yourself. He frames it like absentee and mail-in ballots are both in existence when absentee's gone. Last slide, please, Mr. Raj. The biggest myth in our voting system, and please, Steve, this is the key point. Everyone, this is the key point of it all. Everyone tells you there's nothing you can do. States have 100% authority over elections in their state. They can pass laws. They can decide when early voting starts, when it stops, when the polls open, when they close. 100%. That is true, except for this clause. And if you can zoom in a little bit, Raj, this clause says that 100% power that the states have is forfeited if they use that 100% power, as the Constitution says, quote, to change electoral outcomes. Well, 4 million fraudulent mail-in ballots in swing states changes electoral outcomes. This is out of the Constitution. So when I hear people tell me the states can do whatever they want, there's no check and balance on that. The states have 100% unfeathered power. Well, read it. Read it. Congress can enact laws that supersede state regulation in cases of neglect from the states and so on. And then you can see it says at the bottom, if you can raise it up just a little bit, Raj, the framers designed this division of powers as a safeguard against potential abuses by either level of government, meaning the state or federal. So Congress could have stepped in after the fraudulent mail-in ballots, but maybe Congress doesn't even know that this clause is in the Constitution, because the biggest myth in voting, and I hear it on election integrity calls once in a while, I'm like, what? Yes, you're right. The states can do whatever the heck they want. They can even enact laws about elections. But as long as they stay down the middle, as soon as they start helping one side or the other with their actions, they forfeit that right. Here's the Constitution. So please, any of you that think what 99% of the country thinks, that the states have unfettered access, now you know different. So Donald Trump does not know or understand, because why would he sign on for mail-in ballots to continue, knowing it killed him in 2020, knowing that it's not in the law? Some states did their state house routine to expand it, as we saw on the map. But you see the clause that should be overridden because they use that power to help the Democrats and defraud and go against Donald Trump. So that is my presentation. I hope that it was informative for everyone, and I hope that you will pass the word that, hey, we're not helpless to the states if they abuse the power that they're given in the Constitution. There is a check, and it's called Congress, and they either don't know or they just sat on their hands, but it's right there in the Constitution.
Thank you very much, John. We appreciate it. You did a fantastic job. I want to get everybody some numbers here, because as John was speaking, I was listening. We got 11 computers working in another room, another office. And just to give you an example of what this voice meant today, without giving you official numbers, so far, Voice of the People, my good friend Dan, 3.6 million people. The War Room, 24,000. The War Room Getter, 30,000. SternAmerican, 22,000. SG Annan, 18,000. Melissa Red Pill, 3,800. Cloud Hub, 2,500. Todd Wood, 6,400. The Big Mig, 500. Jody Cox, 300. Upwards of 4 million people already listening, probably more. We want to thank everybody. This is unbelievable. The phones are ringing. The governor's got to be notified. This is sensational. I'm very proud of everybody who came on and everybody who's listening. We just keep calling the governor. I will be on a special program tomorrow at 12:30, reviewing this with somebody that has 100,000 people. I will get with Moms of America, with anybody that has an organization, to start calling. If we get her out, we've succeeded in turning this country. So let's hope we can do it. I'm going to turn it over to Raj. Please follow me on SternAmerican. Please follow everybody that's on here. Everybody has done a wonderful job today. It's went just on time. We got about 3 or 4 or 5 minutes because we have to get off because the War Room comes on at 5. I want to thank so much Steve Bannon. I want to thank everybody who's done a fantastic job today. I got to tell you, I'm a little tired. I'm going to take the rest of the day off. Rod?
All right, Steve, take the rest of the day off, man. All right, in all seriousness, again, my friends, you keep hearing us saying it, but we don't know any other way to do it. We are begging you, please take the action to call Governor Jared Polis, 303-866-2471. Very simple message. Pardon Tina Peters. Again, I want to just thank the folks that have been making those calls in the chat. I just put a couple of them in. Chris, thank you for doing that. Carol, thank you. Barbara just called Polis office, said calls not being taken, left a message. Excellent. Ed, thanks for calling and leaving a message for the governor. Jeff, thanks for calling and leaving a message. Dennis, thank you for calling. For those of you that are watching this on the replay, please take the same action. Their voicemail is working 24/7, and we absolutely need Tina needs their voicemail to be jammed with your messages. So please take that action. Also, look at your phone and find 3 people on your phone. Call those 3 people and explain what has happened to Tina Peters and ask them to call. So please take that action. Also, a couple other things here. We want to again thank all our podcasters that have been pushing this out, including OBBM Network. If you go to obbmnetwork.tv, you can see this is on their main banner. If you click the picture of Tina, you will see all of these other videos of people you know. You can see these familiar faces: Sheriff Mack, Boone Cutler, Benjamin, and Vandersteel, and many, many, many more, including Patrick Burns, Dr. Frank, Joe Hoff. Why are we sharing these videos? Because there are some people in your life that may connect with and may love these folks.
There's Raj on the bottom.
There's even me. Look, they let me in as well. Look at that. So if you share one of these videos with someone in your life, they may make the call, not because of what you said, but maybe because of what Patrick Burns said, or maybe because of what Ann Vandersteel said. So we're trying to make this super hyper easy for you to spread a wildfire of activism for Tina Peters. We must accomplish this objective. Once we accomplish this objective, we will be able to accomplish other objectives as well. Again, I'm just going through some announcements here. theflagshirt.com. I don't know if you guys know how much time, effort, and money the entire project costs to do. All you do is just buy a beautiful outfit from theflagshirt.com. And look at this. This is fantastic stuff. 4th of July is coming. Be the best dressed person there. I don't know if you're going to do this, Steve, but so many people want a free Tina Peters shirt from your company. So maybe that'll happen. Maybe it won't. That all depends on you guys making as big a noise as you can. So a bunch of websites here available now. And the last thing I'm going to share with you. I'm going to remind you. You want to see the replay? Very easy. Go to SternAmerican.com. Scroll down. Buy a couple of things on the way, but make it all the way down to the bottom. Hit the Rumble link. When you hit the Rumble link, you'll come here and you see all of the recordings of the previous events. If you hit the live button, you'll see the live shows. So you have that as well. Also, lastly, you guys, obviously, there's a lot of frustration, as there should be, with regard to everything that's happening. We have launched here at Defend Florida the Reclaim campaign. This campaign in particular is focusing on the establishment. And so if you're interested in figuring out how you can take your voice and basically overwhelm and crush the establishment, whether they be commandeering your REC meetings, your clubs, your legislation, please check this out. There may be some ideas here that you may want to take advantage of. This is also the place where we're making the Trumpet Leadership Bootcamp available. So if that's of interest, go to reclaimcampaign.com, check that out. Importantly, my friends, before the time we meet again, please share the message that you saw here. Share the message that you saw here with 3 other people in your life.
Raj, one other thing. We forgot to thank yournews.com and totalnews.com. Both of those, yournews.com is in the East Coast, Total News is on the West Coast. Both of those put the program on. We have no idea how many people they're getting. We have a lot of people that put the program on that don't do it. Again, call the governor. Do me a favor. I don't ask for anything. Call your governor, Jared Polis, however he pronounces his name. I'm getting tired, but that's our big effect today. 1 million people to call. I'll be very happy. I know that I got calls from people that have already done it. We're asking Steve Bannon to call him. We're asking John Frederick, Steve Gruber, everybody who has a voice, call the governor, let him know. Doesn't matter who it is. It could be Tucker Carlson. It doesn't matter who it is. But you can see Total News, Your News. They're all helping us. There's so many people helping us that the voice is getting out that never got out before. So again, have a good week. Raj, you want to give some closing statements? We'll be on again in about 3 weeks. Thank you, Anthony out there, Melissa, Samantha, everybody who's helped us put this on. It takes a lot of people to come right on the minute. I mean, we got to be off by 5 o'clock so the war room can get on. So Raj, close it down.
Thank you, guys. I want to thank you, my friends, the people that are watching. You are the most important aspect of this entire event. So I want to thank you very much for making this happen, for watching this. And I want to thank you also for sharing this with 3 people, from your phone to spread the word. And until you hear the next email from Steve Stern or myself, look forward to seeing you then. Have a great action-packed couple of weeks. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thanks, Raj, for all your input. I appreciate it.
Hey, you're welcome, Steve. Back at you, my friend. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.